Hey, back again with another show, another chit-chat show, debate show, whatever you choose to call it show. I'm sure we'll have lots to talk about this evening, lots of topics to discuss. I mean, yesterday's show, although it was mainly on just the one topic, to be fair, I mean, I didn't know half as much as I do now about what auto levels do and what they can be used for and how they actually work. I mean, I didn't even know you could actually use them for range finding. So, yeah, I mean, it was a really, really cool show. So, you know, maybe if that topic comes up again tonight, I'll definitely be interested in that because I find it quite amazing, actually, that there's those kind of tools out there that you can figure out these distances and the like. And what was interesting is that if this guy, this globe earther who did the video that I was showing, if he really was at 1.3 miles away, and it was proven that the board that he was looking at, we were only looking at around about 9.5 feet between the two crosshairs, then yeah, I mean that really bodes well for the understanding of of things getting bigger as over water. You know, I mean, this is what we expected. You know, this is what we thought about, and to actually see that demonstrated by a globe earther, well, I think that needs some more research for sure. Anyway, let's see who we've got in chat. Let's see who we've got in. We have got Page 42, who was the first in. Paul Keeling, how's your photography going, mate? Hopefully see you around Blackpool again sometime. Rachie, nice to see you in. You seem like a new new flat earther actually on the scene. So welcome, Rachie 000000. Christian Kumar, nice to see you in. Who else do we have? Cassie O. Let's see. There's so much chat right now. Michael B, nice to see you in. If I've missed anybody, I do apologise. Ian Adams, nice to see you in. Rakia, nice to see you in. Ian Adams, UCube. Wow. Yossi, who's on the panel right now, nice to see you in. We've got Chris, oi. Darwin with a $10 number one fan super sticker. Wow. Nice to have you back at Darwin. How's it going, my friend? Cleary, nice to see you in. We also have Good Servant, and Good Servant smashed the super chat as well, or the super sticker with a cool emoji, so thank you very much. CrowXE on the panel as well, nice to see you in. SE Montreal, nice to see you in. Nick, Who You, wow, so many people in tonight, lots of people talking. Awesome Austin, Rob Keane, Silent Zero, and The Plain Truth, Helvetia Bold. Wow, I think I've caught up. Woohoo! And we got a new member, Darwin, who upgraded to a whale. So, wow, thank you. Thank you very much. Everybody, thank you so much for the support you show the show and for being here this evening. Right, let's get the show on the road. Let's introduce some of the panel members tonight. We have Crow, we have Aaron, we have Yossi Mosillo, and we have Rob Keane. How is everybody doing this evening?
Hello. I'm doing fine. Thank you for this, let's say, chance to talk about and learn new things. Every day, learn something is not a lost day. So, cheers.
Anytime. I love doing these shows. I love the people that come in. I love the debates we have. You know, I mean, this is what it's all about for me. It's actually, you know, it's not going into the realm of we need to scientifically prove everything. I would rather have the debate, you know, and debate on the glober's own ground, so to speak. You know, and let's delve into their realm and let's slowly dismantle their realm as we go. You know, for me, that's the enjoyable part. So, you know, so I do enjoy these shows, I have to say. And we've already got Crow. Crow, are you around, mate? Can you say hello? You're our Glober this evening so far.
Yes, I'm still Glober tonight. Hello, everyone.
Just tonight.
Yeah, hopefully more nights. But who knows?
Who knows? Well, I don't know what's gone on with my local drive. It just seems that I've lost about 50 gigs worth of data. I don't know where that's gone. I'll find it, I'm sure. Anyway, how's things for everybody? How's things been today? Anything to talk about? Anybody got any juicy gossip?
I had a long day traveling to a very dusty place where I couldn't see the bottom of the mountains. Yeah, so this is for Rakef, who was listening.
Okay, so let me get this right. So you're a globe earther, and you went to go and see some mountains, and you couldn't see the bottom of the mountains, right?
Hardly could see them. Yeah, it was very dusty, like a storm, like a sandstorm, but the sand wasn't high enough in the upper layers.
Okay, so should you have been able to see the bottom of it anyway, or was it a case of the sandstorm blocked the bottoms rather than a curve?
Or did
Yeah, it wasn't. No, well, first of all, the distance doesn't allow the curvature obstruction. So, but I couldn't see the bottom clearly. I took a picture, but it was bad. So, sorry for that.
No worries. I mean, if you've got the picture, I'd love to see a couple of pictures. If you want to email them me or put them in the Discord chat.
Okay, I'll do. I was driving, so I wasn't looking exactly in the camera. I just pointed the thing, so I'll try to upload it in a way.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So, speaking of cameras and taking pictures, Evangelist, you have joined this evening. I guess you might have seen the video that I put out before.
Hey, Ranty, I literally just finished watching it before I came in.
Okay, well, if you can send me your address, so if you want to email me, ranty@rantyflatearth.com, or find me in the Discord and send me your address, then yeah, I'll send the P1000 over to you tomorrow, and we'll get it on the way over there, and you can start doing your sunset videos.
Yeah, a bit overwhelmed, Ranty. It's very, very kind of you. So thank you very much, and I'll do the best I can with it. Yeah. So I mean, how quickly you said sort of back by Christmas? That's what you're looking at, because the only reason I say that is obviously we're just entering spring now, so the days will get longer, and right now sunset's at a slightly inconvenient time of the day for me, but probably in 3 or 4 weeks it'll become a lot easier for me then to get out and about and
yeah, I mean,
get something meaningful.
I mean, realistically, I mean, there's no rush as per se. I mean, you know, I've got plans next year to do a bit of travelling, so.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
so I'll probably
come pick it up, mate.
Yeah, that's it. So I'll probably need it back. I said before Christmas. You know, I mean, there's no definitive point before Christmas. You know, I mean, it's not like I can go out and do filming here anyway at Christmas time, apart from taking pictures of the Christmas tree or something. But you know, so I mean, even if it was in springtime that you sent it back, you could have the camera for the next 6 months. You know, it's not desperate. You know. It's not desperate right now, so
yeah, no, definitely wouldn't need it that long. Just I guess all I'm flagging is you might not get a lot of feedback in the next few weeks, just because of the time of the day that sunset will be in my work life. So, but yeah, we'll certainly get something organised. And a little bit, just on another note, that response was a little bit sad. I thought, you know, just unnecessary and a bit childish.
Well, to be honest, I mean, we were discussing this yesterday on the show, and I did say I'd try and reach out to ask him, and I did get. Eventually, the message got to him because I did do a community post, and basically he lost it. Well, you saw what he said, so basically you're not borrowing his camera anytime soon. So, let's put it like that. So I'll send my P1000 over. So anyway, so at least you've got a top of the range camera there to do what you need to do, and maybe you can get a solar filter as well to go on the end of it.
I'll investigate that in the meantime. That'll be awesome. And there's the other thing that I'm a bit excited about is that I can go. I don't know if you remember me saying my wife's cousin lives around the other side of this gulf of water that's about 40 miles across. So either I'll try and photograph him, or I'll drive around and then photograph back to where I live to get some just general long range, across flat water photographs and just see what I can see.
That'd be awesome. Listen, I know for a fact you're going to go out and you're going to do when you get these kind of things, you get a nice camera like that. I mean, your natural first thing to do is to go out and do photography with it. So, so I'm desperate. I think you're going to do a good job anyway. I'm looking forward to seeing what you put up. And listen, if you want to put it onto your Google Drive or something like that, or send it as like on WeTransfer. Not all the stuff. Just if you get a really nice sunset or you get a really cool observation or something. If you want to send over the images and stuff, I'd love to see them.
Definitely. The other thing is I'm not a videographer. I don't know how to edit YouTube videos and all that sort of thing. So maybe if you've got a bit of spare time in the winter, you can give me a hand with that as well. Or you can do it. I don't know. We'll work it out.
Absolutely.
Whereabouts are you, F Evangelist?
In South Australia.
Okay, cool.
So I wonder how long it'll take to send the camera over there.
Hello, Ruhif.
Hello.
Where are you, Ruhif?
Sydney. So yeah,
Sydney,
sunsets
okay, cool.
are not easy. I can get a sunrise, but I gotta get up out of bed.
Yeah, where I am, I'm sort of at the top of a hill, and I look out across the ocean, so I'll get a perfect west setting sun. So
Nice.
Yeah, should be interesting.
Cool. What are you planning? Like, what are the experiments you're planning to do?
Just photograph the sunset or video the sunset, sort of hopefully unobstructed with solar filter, polarizing filter, whatever we can, just to hopefully see what's actually happening with the sun or the version of it that we see.
All right.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what you can produce. I mean, as much as I live near the coast, I mean, I'm 10, 15 minutes away from the coast. But it still means that I can't just open up my door and look out on a sunset. As much as I'd love to, I'd still have to travel every single day to go and try and see the sunset. And you can never tell, because sometimes most of the time you've got clouds over the distance. And you never actually see a full sunset. It goes behind the clouds or something. So, for somebody that actually is, just has to open up the back door and and they're looking over a sunset, then that's just great, because they don't have to do anything. You've got the camera set up all the time, just have to press play, just record, that's it.
Oh, from your house, that'd be cool. Do you have a equatorial?
It's not quite from my house, but it's about a 1 minute drive from my house, so it's still very convenient.
No, because I was trying to get Mike Boll to do a refraction measurement where he sets up his equatorial mount, tracks the sun, and then as the sun sets, he could work out how much refraction there is. So maybe he could do that.
We'll figure something out. We'll figure something out. I mean, this is all very new stuff, isn't it? So let's get some pictures in first. Let's get some photography done first. I think that's the main thing, because I have a feeling.
I'm not a photographic expert. What I am is someone who lives in a convenient location and is keen to give it a go.
That's all we need.
Nice one.
That's all we need. That's all you really need.
You can capture the sun rising south of east, and you can capture it going below eye level. That'd be fantastic.
If you say so. Ruhif, you do realise the sun doesn't actually set, don't you? You do realise that.
Well, according to you, Ranty, of course I realise that. Yeah.
It doesn't go behind the Earth curve, mate.
Or you could do a star trail, the northern star trail, and imply where Polaris is, 30-something degrees below your horizon. There's many things you can do with cameras.
There's lots of things you can do, like film 30, 40, 50 miles, the longest flat earth photography stuff, that should be miles beneath the curvature, but we see it. There's plenty of stuff you can film, Ruhif, showing how flat how flat this place is.
I love a good long distance. Sorry, I love a good long distance observation.
Oh yes, that one.
Crow.
The one you keep showing that shouldn't be able to be seen, you mean?
Canigou?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
The one that should be gone.
The one where if you incorporate typical refraction, it's exactly what you should say.
You mean the magic stuff.
Typical what?
Say again? What's that, Travis?
Typical what?
I said
typical refraction,
typical
sorry.
What?
Yeah, typical refraction. Hey, Crow,
Yeah.
People call you like Crow XE, but I reckon it's Crochy. Is that close?
I don't know the pronunciation for that word. It's just Crow and XE. So whatever
Why
people
is it
say,
your
okay.
username?
Well, it's something from all time. I designed a plane that has X elements, X new elements.
Right.
So
Okay.
Crow XA. When I was trying to make my email, I put Crow F16 rejected and so on. So stick with me.
Okay, one sec. It's my alarm.
Ragnar Stefan Hallerson says something interesting in the chat. He says, did you take a look at the stand-up maths video about country's area is measured as flat? I haven't actually, but that would be interesting. What do you think about that, Ruhif? That country's area is measured.
I've only seen the link. I haven't actually watched the video yet.
What happens if it turns out that that is the case?
I cannot comment until I see the video. Like, I'm happy to watch it today, if you like.
I mean, yeah, sure, but I mean, let's suppose it's just accurate. I mean, let's just suppose that that's the top and bottom of it. That the country's area is measured as flat. I mean, what would you say to that? If that's just the result, that's how they do things.
Oh, I would wonder what they mean by measuring it flat, because if it's curved and you try and make it flat, it distorts. Like it tears.
I know it would definitely boggle your mind, wouldn't it, if that was the case?
I would have to see what they mean by measuring it flat. Like, I got to watch it first before I can comment on it.
Wouldn't it actually be the opposite? Wouldn't it raise up if you're trying to flatten a curve because there's more? If you're trying to curve the flat, then it would tear.
No.
No?
If you have a flat piece of paper and you try and squash it to a globe, you get wrinkles, right? You get folds.
That's what I said. It raises up. It doesn't tear it. Yeah. Okay.
Which way are we going?
Never mind. I get it.
Yeah, all right, cool. All right.
Okay, so Flat Earth Data has a question for you, Ruhif. He says, can you please ask Ruhif for photographic evidence, Polaris rotation underneath or South Pole star rotation from directly underneath?
I think there's a video of the South Pole rotation. I don't know if there's a North Pole one.
So from directly underneath, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's no literal North Pole landmass where there is in the South Pole. So being under the South Pole is easier.
So you think there might be photographic evidence of Polaris's rotation underneath?
Yeah, I think not Polaris, but Where's Wally? Where's Wally had a mate that actually went to Antarctica and did a whole bunch of photography. Yeah, I'd have to dig it out, but I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a South Pole rotation from the South Pole, like a time-lapse star trail.
Okay, well, maybe if you could provide the link at some point, that would be interesting.
I'll write it down. Actually, I'll just message Wally.
You've got lots of work to do, Ruhif.
Me, I have a lot of work to do, completely unrelated to Flat Earth. If I'm here, I'm procrastinating. So
it gets tough for the Globers. We're actually asking you for evidence now, and you guys are now struggling to actually bring it to the table. It was the other way around a couple of years ago.
I'm happy to go out and do whatever observations I can. I'm not in a great location to do the observations that I want to do. I mean, I can get the sun rising south of east. I can get the sun rising below eye level. Boats over the horizon, that sort of stuff. But I mean, mountain to mountain, there's not a great opportunity for that here. With an auto level, maybe, but not.
Did you see the guys the video that I showed yesterday with the Glober using an auto level?
No, was it like a produced video?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I'm laughing because
Right.
Oh dear me.
So hang on, is sunset research important? hang on, no.
Oh no! This is from yesterday's show. So at the start of the show, within the first 15-20 minutes or so, I show a video.
I can't devote 4 hours a day to you, Randy. Sorry.
Oh no, it's like I'll find. I'm laughing because the guy who set his auto level up, in my opinion, either tried to fake the results, or something was really wrong with his auto level, because he his auto level should have been 5 feet above the water at the other side. The crosshair should have been there. Turns out it was only 3. So, but he was doing that to make it the amount of missing on this object that he was looking at in the distance match up. He hadn't realised that if the object had actually dropped, his crosshairs would have been above the object, not below it. It was just so comical.
So
it was just so comical.
So he needs to calibrate it.
Oh right, okay. It would have to be that, yeah. It's not the fact that he would fraudulently put any kind of evidence out like that, no.
Well, again, I have no idea who you're talking about or really what you're talking about, so I'm not going to cast aspersions on a guy's character when I don't know what's going on.
I suppose that's fair, I suppose that's fair. I'll see if I can dig the video up, actually. Okay, so whilst I'm doing that, has anybody got any questions for Ruhif whilst he's here? Nobody?
I watched a video of Nathan's again.
You should stop procrastinating.
If I was not procrastinating, I'd get so much more shit done in my life. It's bad.
You should definitely stop procrastinating and get on with that stuff at some later stage.
Which stuff? Flat Earth stuff?
Stuff you're procrastinating. It was a joke.
All right.
Hey, Ruhif, if I come up with some footage that completely goes against what you think is the case, give me an honest answer. Would you consider that there's another position other than the one that you hold? And you can't lie to me. It's really un-Australian if you lie, mate. So would you be
I
open
know
to
that there's another
considering
position. I've spent the last 2 years considering it, and it's wrong, basically.
What is the model?
Flat Earth is wrong.
The model? Oh, Flat Earth.
Yeah.
Hey, Ruben.
What about the position you hold?
Show me something that contradicts it, and I'll evaluate it. I'd love to do that.
Okay.
Hey, Ruhif.
Yeah, the alternative explanation for curvature is...
You just broke up there, Travis. Right, Ruhif, can you look at my screen for a sec?
Do I click on you in Discord and then watch stream? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so...
All right, 1 sec. Hang on. It's coming.
No worries.
Battling. Hold on.
Maybe I'll reshare and let me reshare.
Hang on, the stream has ended.
Yeah, I've reshared now, right? So there you go.
Okay.
How's that? Still whirling, or can you actually see it now?
Oh, there we go. Got it. So this is auto level. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, here's his auto level. In the distance, there's like a square. It's not a kind of square. It's more of a rectangle type of shape where you've got white, black, white, black, white. Okay, so this is part of a board that he'd put up there. Now you don't see the rest of the board in the image, but you have got this big inferior mirage that runs through the image. So I'm assuming that has something to do with it. It's dragging that bottom part of it down and hiding it. The problem is the top of the board was set to 5 feet, and his camera, the center of the camera, this auto level was like 1 inch short of 5 foot. 1 inch short of 5 foot, and this is 5 foot in the distance up the top there, right? So
you're saying it's perfectly level, as in
almost
shooting 5 feet to 5 feet.
It's almost 5 feet to 5 feet, yeah, within an inch. So it should. So basically, he's saying that it's dropped. Okay, so this is dropped by however much. 11 inches or 12 inches, something like that, over the 1.33 miles. So, which would be, pretty much accurate to a globe Earth. The problem is that if it had actually dropped, right, then this board would have dropped beneath the hairs because the crosshairs and the top of the board were set to 5 feet. So realistically, these crosshairs should have been up here, like so.
Yeah, it should be shooting high, right?
Yeah, of course it was. So he's measured it off the board and said, hey, look, that's dropped by 11 inches. You can measure it because these were 3 inches. Each of these little squares, these white and black, were 3 inches. So he was able to count, you could see that it had dropped by about 11 inches. And it's like, well, that kind of matched the globe until you realise at the end that, the crosshair should have been up here. That's kind of an issue, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I'll point into my my auto level video to show how to calibrate it. But, I mean, I've said a million times, I really don't care for observations done close to the water or close to the surface at all.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's a ramping effect as well that's going on here? I mean, you've seen what Brandon Toys put
ramping.
out. Yeah, with the water. You've seen how the water obstructs things in the distance, how it's able to rise up. And you also get a sinking effect at the same time. You've seen his work, haven't you, in the density tank?
In a density tank, Brandon Toy.
Yeah, he creates...
Only in other people's videos. I haven't watched his directly, no.
All right, okay. So he created a density gradient inside the fish tank by sprinkling sugar through the water over a period of days, and he was able to get the objects in the distance. Let's say it was just a toy, a building or something like that they'd put in the background. Basically, the water had created like a fata brumosa, and it had risen up and blocked off about a third of the bottom of those buildings. So it definitely created bottom-up obstruction, and you also got a little bit of bit of dragging down and a bit of compression in there as well. I mean, it was a really cool. I
saw a bit of yours.
Yeah, well,
I saw a bit of yours a few weeks ago.
Mine was,
and then you said you didn't want a density gradient.
Well, yeah,
isn't that the entire point?
Yeah, so there was two ways of doing it. So the way I did it was I boiled the water first, mixed the sugar in, boiled it all up, created a solution, and then popped it into the tank. And I was trying to create a density density at the top, and hoping that the sugar solution would stay at the top with the warm water. On my second attempt at doing that, I realised that actually what was happening was it was just spreading throughout the whole tank and creating an equalised density throughout the whole tank with sugar in it that bent stuff around. But it was basically throughout the whole tank. I wasn't able to create a gradient. Whereas Brandon,
the test isn't the test to actually show that a density gradient causes refraction downwards. Well, I thought that was the entire point, and you're kind of saying no.
Well, no, there wasn't a test to prove anything. There was a test to see what happened. So it was basically a test to see what happened. Once it was determined that the whole tank filled up equally, and we created there was no density in the tank, I said to Brandon Toy, well, why don't you sprinkle sugar in from the top? That's how they tell you create a density gradient from the bottom up. So that's what he did. So he then went ahead and did it, and he was able to create this this bottom up obstruction of things in the distance. And what's also interesting is that you can sort of see that sort of effect here with the water. Can you see how it's, I don't know, there's this kind of layer just above the water there, where you see that in so many different videos. And it's like a fata brumosa. It's like a fata brumosa that rises up. And if that's the cause of bottom-up obstruction, obviously because you're looking through the densest part and you've got the density gradient at the bottom, then that explains quite a lot of these observations that you guys have got over long distances.
I'm trying to remember who did it a few weeks ago, but they were saying looming is not the raising up of something. Looming is like ships floating in what looks like floating in the air. Does that ring a bell for anyone?
It doesn't ring any bells to me, but that looming, but I mean, the image that Mick West has on his Metabunk, where he's showing the boat floating, is nothing more than the boat actually on the water, and there's a reflection of the sky. There's a reflection of the sky underneath it that makes it blend, looks like the whole sky. Yeah, there's some, the color of the water or whatever, or the reflection or whatever. The boat isn't actually floating. We agree on that, right? So. Yeah, the boat. We never see floating stuff. Things don't lift up really.
It's bizarre.
Yeah, we don't see things loomed up, Ruhif, ever.
Well, we do. Yeah. What was I going to say?
The one thing I want to just jump in real quick is that I've seen the Superior Mirage and Looming often crisscross in their identification. So,
Well, they're related, right?
well, not directly, no, but that's what I'm saying. They crisscross because Looming is not a Superior Mirage. So the issue is that, say, with the Flying Dutchman, if you see a ship out in the distance and it looks like that ship is above the horizon, the incorrect interpretation is that that ship is beyond the horizon but is being loomed up. But
I agree. I think there's something different about the color of the water or the reflection in the water or something that makes it appear floating when it's obviously not.
Right, it's an inferior mirage. Yeah, it's an
I didn't say that.
No, I'm telling you, Ruhif. I'm telling
Okay.
Is it a reflection, Travis? Is it just a simple
Hey,
reflection on the water?
No,
Hang on, I
it's
just heard
not on the
Travis
water.
and I just heard Ruhif, Travis, and Ranty saying the boat isn't actually floating in the air, in the ether band or whatever. It's on the water, even though it doesn't appear to be on the water. So this is what I've been saying all along. It is on the water, the mirrored water layer. We just can't see it because it reflects the sky, right, beyond a certain distance.
Yeah, it's refraction. It is a mirage. It's not a reflection, Pete.
It's a reflection if it's on the water. Water reflects. Tell me
No,
where water
Pete.
doesn't reflect.
Okay, did you watch my video yet, Pete?
When there's any waves or swell or chop.
Yes, but hang on, Ruhif. Hang on,
hold
please. Ruhif, you'll accept, right, from a flat earther's point of view, we are after being given back the extended distance, which must be water, right, as we're looking over water. So how do we sort of encode that, or I guess decode the image with that in mind? Of course, you looking at it, Ruhif, you're going to tell me, or not you, maybe the bald side, I think you as well is going to have to say that, the visible horizon is the actual horizon, and the boat is floating miraculously in the air.
I remember going through an observation with you of my favorite observation, Canigou, where we worked out the angular size of Canigou and where the base of that would be on the image. And the base of it, so we're looking at over water, but there's also land in the foreground, which doesn't reflect, right? The base of Canigou was below that land in the foreground. There's absolutely no way then.
Hang on, I went through this with Sly Sparkane. If you want to make a date on Ranties to go through that for half an hour, you representing all the accumulation of your knowledge and your interpretation of that image with a ball earth in mind, right? I went through this with you, not thoroughly with you, but I went thoroughly with Sly Sparkane on Jose Gonzalez's show. And I showed him up, and it's pretty obvious what's going on when we take the mirror water layer into account and understand that any target in the distance is just setting up an artificial horizon. It's providing contrast over this great distance for us to be able to sort of discern, or more particularly the camera, right? We can't discern any of this with the eye. But the real horizon, like Ranty's image the other day showed with the lighthouse, through the gap in the wall or whatever, you could see the water beyond. So this is, with that in mind, Ruhif, you're finished. And let me just say as well, it's the clouds that give the game away. The clouds are also mirroring in the water, right? And I went through that with Sly Sparkane, but that's a different story.
Okay, Pete.
I mean, don't be patronizing me, man. As if, come on, man. I mean, we're looking over an extended span. Hang on, please. It's very simple. We're looking over an extended span. And for me, as a flat earther, that span, it consists mostly of water. Now, beyond a certain point, the water, right, will compress with distance, right, and will revert back to its, I guess, natural characteristic, which is to mirror or reflect. Any reflection we see is actually on the water. So understanding that this water layer can stretch many miles, it does behave like a local mirror to our perspective. But let me just say this, and I know I can speak, right, but I've been saying the same stuff for years. When you look at the reflection in the water, you have to understand that that reflection can be stretching many miles from your perspective along that stretch of water, right, compressed due to perspective. But it in no way matches the same height as as the target itself, be it the mountain, be it a boat or something. And let me just say as well, all you have to do to clarify this, go down to your local river tomorrow and just pay attention to the reflections and watch how they stretch, sometimes many, many multiples of the height of the building or target itself. So thank you for listening.
Thanks, Pete.
So what do you think, Pete? Ruhif, I mean, do you think these images of these boats floating, do you think they are actually on the water, or do you think they're floating?
Yeah. If you mess with the contrast, you can actually make out the horizon where the boat is.
It's only the boat's horizon, though, Ruhif. What if there was a big tanker behind that? A big island in the distance? But you see, it reflects the sky, and if that contrast wasn't there, that boat, right, as you were looking at the image, you'd say, well, there's the horizon, it's clear as day, right? It's a bit bumpy, it's not sort of a straight line or whatever, but you would overlook this mirrored water layer that stretches back into the distance and rises to eye level for the most part.
It doesn't rise to eye level, Pete. Demonstrably does not rise to eye level.
Okay, look at this. Look at this. I'm just saying I'm sharing an image. If you want to have a look there, whilst you're at that.
I have clicked on you.
Okay, so this is one of the the more famous floating boats that we see. So. Yeah, I mean, that looks like it rises to eye level to me.
How are you getting a gauge on eye level?
Well, I mean, would you say it's below eye level?
I have no way of telling from that photo whether it's above or below eye level. I have an auto level.
Okay,
which I can determine eye level.
Halfway through the photo and you see whether they're...
No, that's just where your camera's pointing. Oh, Glenn, I hit you up on Skype and you haven't sent me the...
I don't open Skype that often unless
there you go.
Ranty was going.
You can vaguely see the horizon behind the boat. Can you see it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a.
Yeah, they changed the contrast.
Full resolution image, but yeah, there's you can see the horizon. So there's some reflection, or the water's really still, or whatever. But that's to say that is looming is just incorrect. It's just.
Well, that's a deceptive thing as well. Look at that. That looks ridiculous. Is there a video that comes with that? You can't.
No, it's a screenshot from a golf tournament in Scotland.
Right, you can be sure there's again, this is sort of deceptive, and you need to sort of put your thoughts together to work out what the heck is going on. But there's Ranty, you have many more images yourself that just push this point across. But once again, that's the point. What appears to be the horizon roof is not the horizon. You've almost admitted it yourself. Whereas every calculation that Rumpus and crew would make to that horizon via spherical geometrical maths, they would have that visible horizon as their demarcation point, and it's not.
Hence why we make observations of objects beyond the horizon, so we can easily distinguish what is a mountain and what is the water. There's a clear line where it finishes.
But you're saying something ridiculous, like this boat is floating, it's been loomed up.
No, I'm not saying it's floating, and I'm not saying it's loomed up. I'm saying that coloured area...
You are saying it's floating. It's floating in water.
I'm saying it's not floating.
It's got to be floating in water. It's got to be floating in water.
Come on, champ.
Yeah, but hang on, man. This is your whole argument with a ball. Not this example specifically, but other
not in this image. Not in this image. It's not arguing.
Other illustrations where you have a boat seemingly rising above the visible horizon. And when I talked about the real horizon before, I'm talking about where the water actually ends. I know the term is confusing, but where the water actually ends and where the sky begins. And you can tell that at sunrise and sunset, where you see ultimately identifying the mirror line. Let me just say as well, everything above the mirror line you're looking at directly, or the camera is. Everything below that is a reflection along the water. That's significant.
Can I just say that the channel Sky Free, that's SKY space FREE, Sky Free, they do these kind of observations with a miniature boat over a lake, and what's more, they see this very same phenomena. They are quite low. I think they're only a couple of inches above the water with the camera, and I believe that the lake that they actually film across is about 400 feet. So there should be no curvature at all in this particular, over that particular body of water. But what they do see is this strange phenomena. They see the inferior mirage. They see boats disappearing into an inferior mirage. Again, There should be no earth curve between themselves and the boat that they're actually filming. And they see this very same phenomena too, where it appears that the boat is sitting on the air, essentially. But we know it's not. We know it's sitting on the water. So highly recommend that you guys go and subscribe to the channel Sky Free. Well, do you also agree then with that statement that the boat disappearing into the inferior mirage, what they capture with their miniature boat with no earth curve, is indicative of why we see boats disappear over long distances in the bigger scale? You think that the replication of it on a small scale doesn't replicate itself on the big scale?
Now, let me be clear. Inferior mirages obscure parts of things at the horizon. But there are many, many observations where you can overlay the entire boat, and then the base of the boat is still well below where the inferior mirage stops.
Okay, so you said it was at the horizon.
Is just confused an observation, and you kind of should throw it out.
Well, you said it was at the horizon. I would disagree with that, simply because, I mean, I've got a very well-known observation where I filmed a boat. It's called Sneak Boat, and I did a time lapse. I think it was on Christmas Eve a couple of years ago, and the entire boat, this 100-foot tanker, goes in front of Barrow in Furness. I don't even see it. I'm doing this time lapse. I can't even see it. It's just behind an inferior mirage. It was only when I got higher up I was able to see the boat. And when I triangulated the position of the boat, which was at about 7 miles away, now I was at about 35 feet at the top, and half of the boat still was missing. Half of the boat was missing.
In the inferior mirage?
In the inferior mirage, there should have been no earth curve between myself and that boat.
That's an inconclusive observation.
Well, I would disagree with that. I think we all understand what
you.
Yeah, exactly.
Hang on, Ranty.
Check out the video I posted in the general chat. Can you put that video up? The one that I posted in general?
Hold on.
Let me just question Ranty about something then. If this is, and I get your point, and Ruhiv can never admit that, but if you admit that the boat is underwater, not this image now, your own image at the start or whatever, I just came in late here. If you admit that the boat is underwater and the inferior mirage is closer to us and below the boat, then it has to be reflection. How can it be through the air that's causing the what do you call it? It has to be a reflection along the water and not a mirage at all.
No, incorrect. But you'd have to look at the image itself to do the analysis. It's too abstract to just say yes or no.
Okay, so
that makes sense. Just as I express it verbally, there it is a logical sort of.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I'm talking about looking at the image to compare the image to what you're saying. That's what I'm saying.
What you have to remember is this mirrored water layer. So the water beyond a certain point mirrors because it becomes compressed with distance, can stretch many miles into the distance. It can, you know what I mean? So when you view the mirroring of the object beneath the mirror line, it's along the water that stretched reflection appears to you or your camera. It's very simple.
Okay, so
right, where's the inferior mirage in this?
There is no inferior mirage in this particular
Can I ask Rue if this is his photo or someone else's?
No, it's taken near me, but it's not mine.
Let Randy take this. Let Randy take this, Dave. He took it the other evening.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to know if it was this photo. Good enough.
No. Yeah. The source is MC the EMC1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please let Ranty and Ruhiv just go through this. As Ranty, you know the story. Will you go through this, Ruhiv? Ruhiv, make your case, please, and let Ranty sort of rebut you.
Yeah, you make your case. Make your case for this observation. What are you showing us here, Ruhiv?
All right. The bottom of the boat in the background is not only just below the horizon, but below the base of the ship in the foreground.
Okay.
And I don't believe I've got. Hold on, just real quick, Ranty. I'm sorry. I don't believe I've gotten a response from the channel host. But Ruhiv, what's the distance to that distant boat?
I did the research on this, and it's in the comments. So if you look for my comment in that thread.
Okay, great.
What conclusions are you drawing?
Hold on, Pete. What's the distance to the horizon?
Somewhere between the first boat and the second boat.
Okay, what's the distance? Stop, Pete, stop. No. Ruhif, you have to understand something. In order for you to claim that the horizon is a geometrical block obstruction to something in the distance, you have to verify the distance. Otherwise, there's no certainty. So what is the distance to the horizon?
Somewhere between the first boat and the second boat.
You don't know the distance, so you cannot make the claim that the math will prove the fact that you are missing just enough of that boat in the distance because the horizon is just where it needs to be. You can't prove it.
Actually, let him make the claim first of all. What's your conclusion?
That's what I'm looking for. So, yeah, give us your. You say you've looked into this. You say that you've got the answers for this. So, I'm looking for your conclusions about this.
Go to the description, actually. Go to the description.
Did I? Hang on one sec. So I'm just finishing off putting that in. So you want me to go to the description?
Yep. Yeah, so the background ship called Conti Leon, 7 p.m. The ship was at these coordinates.
Did you say Conti Leon?
Conti Leon, that's the name of the boat.
Okay, Pete.
Lion's Cut. Thanks, Pete. Like I said yesterday, I love how your brain works, Pete.
I thought you said Conti Leon. Sure of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Conti Leon. And they're the coordinates. So I went on one of the maritime websites to get the data. The foreground ship called Epic Piraeus was moored at those coordinates. The camera location was blah, blah, blah. At 10 meters above sea level. There was actually a survey mark, like literally a few meters away from where he was. So the elevation's pretty accurate. It matches the globe exceptionally well, and there's a ship.
You cannot say that, Ruhif. You cannot say that.
Okay. Well,
he means on that day. He means on that day when they were mourned on that day it matches.
No,
on the next day it could be totally different.
I wanna. Do you guys mind if I?
Well,
do you guys mind if I ask Ruhif a question here?
You can.
Ruhif, you said you've been.
Let Randy deal with this. Come on.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm happy for other people to have a go first, and then I'll just put this to bed. When you guys have had your fun with him.
Ruhif, you said you've been studying the flat Earth for what, a couple of years, right?
Yep.
Okay, so have you determined, out of all the studying, you've determined that the horizon that you see is a physical geometrical ball, correct?
When you say geometrical, right, in the Metabunk curve calculator, it distinguishes between geometric and apparent. Right?
Again, I'm just asking you.
Yeah, and you're trying to make an equivocal argument.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to clarify what your understanding of the horizon is. I'm not looking for Metabunk's understanding. I'm looking for yours. That's why I'm asking you. You went to Metabunk as some sort of, saving grace, I guess.
No,
the point
because you're
is,
about to equivocate on the word geometric.
The point is every time you look at the horizon, you equate it, you yourself, you, nobody else, because I'm asking you. You equate that horizon as the edge of your ball, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You have never considered it being caused by optics, but you've considered it to being caused by a physical sphere edge instead, correct?
In the cases where it's a hard horizon, yes. I mean, I sent Ranty a photo of the fires here earlier.
So if there's a horizon that's physical, right, there should be some sort of tilting building, something physically tilting away, something that when the aircraft goes for a 6-foot observer, it's going over your ball at 3 miles, right? There should be a way to test this, correct?
Are you saying we should be able to test whether a building or a boat or whatever is tilting back?
Come on, man. Why don't you stick to the topic at hand?
Because I'm trying to understand. He's trying to say that over 2 years of researching flat Earth, he has conflated the horizon as a physical obstruction rather than an apparent one, actually, as it's described in the dictionary, right? It's not a fit.
You're equivocating on those words.
No, I'm not. I'm reading for what it is. It says it's an apparent junction, meaning that the ground and sky don't actually touch at any point, Ruhif.
Of course.
But you were conflating that to be a spherical edge of a ball. Do you understand?
It is.
So how can you
it is a physical edge.
How can you determine it to be a physical sphere edge when it's not measurable?
Because of perspective, right? You've got an almost
because
flat,
it's perspective. Okay. But because of perspective.
No.
What
do you want me to
causes
answer this or not?
perspective? What you just said because of. You just said because of perspective. So not Earth curve.
5 words.
So not Earth curve. So not Earth curve, perspective. So now I want to ask you.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did. You just said perspective, bro.
I said perspective. I did not say not Earth curve.
Now listen. What causes perspective?
I got 5 words out for Theta.
What causes perspective? The physical Earth curve or your eyesight?
I got 5 words out, so I'm going to continue with what I was saying.
You just mentioned perspective. You just said perspective. Okay, so go on with perspective. Perspective is causing it, correct?
If there's a almost flat but very, very slightly curving situation, and you're at a low down.
Did you just say? Did you just beg? Did you just beg the question if again?
Well, okay. Let's say it's completely flat.
Now you're begging the question. Let's say it's completely. No, let's talk about optics.
Again, I've got.
Okay, go ahead.
Again, I've got 5 words out. Okay, let's just assume completely flat surface, and there are lines at equal spaces. So every 100 meters out, there's a line. We all agree that from your perspective, those lines will get closer and closer together.
They will
move towards the horizon, right?
They will converge as they move away from you, right?
Yeah. So there's
these, but they don't actually converge, right, Ruhif?
Correct. Yep.
Awesome. So at 3 miles away for the 6-foot observer.
I've got 10 words out now.
So for the keep going, bud.
Okay, thank you. So as you get further and further out from your perspective on the shoreline or wherever you are, the apparent distance or the apparent gap between those lines eventually gets to, effectively 0. All right. So there's very difficult to tell by measurement exactly how far away the horizon is, because you measure the angle to it or something like that, and it's some sort of small error in measurement could mean several miles to difference to the horizon.
Ruhif. Perfect. Can I just butt in and say, so those lines, horizontal lines, a millimeter apart, each representing 100 meters. The 2 horizontal lines above, let's say from our perspective, beyond the apparent horizon, will contain or could potentially contain much more distance. And actually, I'm doing it the other way. I'm dividing it in millimeter lines, right, as opposed to 100 meters. It's a similar thing, but as you move away, then greater distance is incorporated within the same sort of, dimensionality.
Same angular. Yeah, the same angular difference between the lines. Yes.
The lines, yeah. If you drew horizontal lines all the way along the image, right? I know you have to cater for 3 dimensions as well, but just say 2-dimensionally for a minute. The 1 millimeter line closest to you, closest to the observer, as opposed to the 1 millimeter line by the apparent horizon, could be a vast difference. One could be 100 meters, and the other could be half a mile. Right? Do you agree with that?
This is why we look at objects that are perpendicular to your vision, not parallel to your vision.
What do you mean?
Well, if you're looking at something almost parallel to it, like the ocean, then you lose that depth perception because each line of equal depth becomes less easily discernible. But if you're looking at a mountain or a boat or something which is perpendicular to you, then your equal lines of height, are pretty much the same same distance apart.
I mean, that's exactly it. That's exactly my whole point, and I've been saying this for years. The water, because we can't discern beyond a certain point, is where flat Earth data comes in with these limits to the eye and the diffraction limit. But the water compresses in distance, first of all, with these lines we're after drawing, but also, right, it goes
which is why we look at mountains and boats.
Which is reflective form. Hang on, please. Let me just say this. And to our perspective, right, this water reflects the sky. It's only when a target enters that zone, right, that we can discern that even though it looks like it's floating on air, it's actually on water. And when we identify the mirror line, then we can see that the reflection, everything above the mirror line we're looking at directly, everything below that is the reflection, is stretching across many miles, Ruhif, and you have just admitted it, or could be anyway. Excellent.
It just acknowledges that there's parallel lines that converge, but in the same breath conflates it to a physical geometrical edge of a ball. Do you see the discrepancy here, Ruhif?
No, I don't. There is a point.
So listen. Let me finish. We're looking down a hallway.
You asked me a question. You've asked me a question, and then you just keep talking.
Listen. For some reason, you were acknowledged.
It was yes or no, and you said no. So now he's going on.
Oh, I'm not allowed to expand on my answer.
Let me finish.
He didn't ask you to expand, Ruth. If he asked you a yes or no, you said no.
And
so
he is well known for equivocating on the words apparent and geometric.
No, sorry. You guys are.
Can you say, Pete, that's a good point. I'm considering that. I haven't considered that before. When I imagine a flat plane, which is what you started talking about, when you imagine a flat plane, are you agreeing pretty much with what I'm saying?
I very rarely agree with anything you say, Pete, and
But I gave you my specific explanation for what's going on as we're looking over an extended plane. Remember, you're after casting your mind that way, and that plane is water. So beyond the diffraction limit of the eye, that's not the only factor here, flat Earth, there's other factors involved. The water
refraction, diffraction, absolutely. Ruhif, do you agree that the eye produces a cone shape?
Factor.
Do you agree that the eye produces a cone shape? Ruhif?
Do I agree that the eye produces it? No,
I think it's in our vision.
Perspective. You're talking about the frustum, right?
Okay, so the rules of perspective. So what is the rules of perspective? Go on, tell me.
The rule, many rules. How do you want me to apply them?
Okay, so many rules of perspective. What are they?
Rule 1, you never talk about the rules of perspective.
What do you mean? If something's twice as far away, it has half.
You just established so these are the laws of perspective. So converging lines don't actually converge. So the horizon isn't actually a physical effect. It's converging lines based on
that. No.
You can understand the logic and reason, can you not? That converging lines don't actually converge. It's actually perspective, an optical effect.
And that doesn't lead to.
You can understand. Can you understand that logical reasoning that lines that appear to converge aren't actually converging? Do you understand that logic and reasoning?
Which does not lead to your conclusion that the horizon is not physical.
So perspective doesn't converge or compress the vanishing line or vanishing point away from vision. The natural function of the eye doesn't compress things.
There is a vanishing line. There is a vanishing line, but there's no.
What causes it? You have it in a hallway and you have it on a horizon. Yes, you do. You have a vanishing point or a vanishing line in a horizon. Same thing.
The vanishing point is not equivalent to the horizon.
And why is that? It's a point where lines converge and they.
No, the horizon is below eye level.
Okay, listen.
If I take a photo at eye level,
on a flat plane is the horizon below eye level.
Right, listen. Everybody, right, listen. Right. Ruhif asked me to ask to look into this observation, so I have been working on it. I just need a couple of things from Ruhif. Well, one thing really. Do you know the observer's eye height when he took the observation?
It was 9.5. I think the survey mark was 9 meters, and he had 8 meters. Sorry, and he had a 1.5 meter tripod. So he says 10 meters, and I think accurately 9.5.
Okay, right. So can you see the screen right now? Can you see the screen that I'm sharing?
I can.
Okay, so you're saying that his observer height was at least 9 meters, right?
Yep.
How does that work when the horizon is behind a boat that's only, hang on, let's see how far it is away. Let's just have a double check. 4.79 miles away. How is the horizon further than that if his observer height is 9 meters?
What does the curve calc say?
What, to get to a horizon, let's put it this way, to get to a horizon that's 4.2 miles away, so just half a mile short of the horizon, which is, what I'm going to say is about here, the observer height has to be 10 feet.
Hang on, let me chuck it in. So how far away is the Epic Piraeus?
So it's 4.79 miles away.
Right, and he's at 10 meters. Or 9.5.
A meter is bigger than a foot.
Yeah. So let me.
I get zero refracted hidden, and I get a refracted horizon at 7.4 miles.
7.4 miles. So the horizon is how far away? Are you telling me the boat is at 4.7 miles, and the horizon is 3 miles beyond that. Are you telling me that little gap there is 3 miles?
Like we've just talked about, equal points, equal spaced lines converge to, where they're basically indistinguishable.
No,
that's exactly what we were just talking about.
No. There's a huge discrepancy here, Ruhif. There's no way in a million years that is 3 miles.
How are you measuring that?
How are you determining that he was at 9 meters? Firstly,
because I know what platform he was on, and I know there's a survey mark right next to him.
I'm going to disagree, and I'll tell you probably where he actually was, because there is a more obvious point for him to be. Let me firstly share the position. Let me get Google Earth up, and I'll show you the position where I actually think he took the observation from. Right, here we go. So now you should see Google Earth. And I'm going to show you where he says he is, or where it seems to be more, better for the globe. If he was at this point here on some bridge in the middle of a field somewhere. However, there is a car park down here. There's a car park right down here, and right next to the water, basically, just down here.
Yeah, he's on that platform.
This platform.
Right.
Oh right, so so the coordinates that he gave, -34, 347, 150, 921, which puts him here, right, is not correct. He was actually
Correct.
way down here.
They are incorrect. Yeah, he said he was on the platform in the car park.
So he's way down here. So he wasn't way back higher up. Right. Okay. So this to me, this to me would be more like 10 feet.
10 meters. If you
10 meters.
Zoom right into the bottom left-hand corner of the platform.
Hang on, let me see if I can get something to actually sit on.
Yeah, that seems about right. 10 meters. Look at the cliffs.
10 meters? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Move your cursor to the left. Oh fuck! What have you done now?
I've just put myself on the beach.
30 feet.
I've just put myself on the beach down here, and I'm gonna say he was down here on the beach. He wasn't on the.
That's where he said he was.
No, he was not on this car park. He was down at about.
He was on the car park. It matches everything else.
No, it doesn't. There's no way there's 3 miles in that little bit of thing.
You're not measuring. You're just saying it, and because it's so far away, and because you're so parallel to it, it's really difficult.
All right. So I tell you what, I'm not going to argue with you. Let's give you that. Let's give you that. Right. Okay. So let's move on to the next point then. So we've put in those details. We've put 16.9 miles away. So how much should be hidden, Ruhif?
I'd have to get all the data again and do it.
So
I did do a video on this, didn't I?
So should be 13 meters hidden, right? Okay.
I did a video on this, didn't I?
Yeah, but I'm just saying that. So the boat in the distance at this point. So we're talking about the boat in the distance. So I'm going to bring up paint right now because I've just scaled this. So
I'm going to go in a minute, by the way.
Oh, don't go, because I'm just about. Listen, I'm not even got to the coup de grace yet. This isn't even.
Yeah, that's why he's going. He knows the coup de grace is coming.
The coup de grace is coming. The coup de grace is coming,
if
mate.
You're still going up to 9 o'clock. I'll be back by then.
Oh, come on.
But yeah, give me 2 minutes more, and I'll come back in an hour after that.
Okay, so
can I ask Rufus?
So the boat. So hold on. So the boat is 300 meters long, right? So this is the boat. I've scaled it to 300 meters. Well, it's 300 at the bottom. I've used the same scale to actually measure the height of the platform that that everything sits upon. And what do you know? That's 15 meters. So anything that we see. So basically, the Earth curve calculator says that anything below sort of this point here, there, should be hidden to Earth curve, right?
Yeah, I did a video on this. I'll stick a link to it. And you can play it if you want.
Yeah. Okay. So one last thing, just before you go, because it's just the video. Because you asked me to look at the video, so let's see if I can.
Maybe save it till he comes back, because he said he was coming back round.
Well, no, it'll give him time to think. It'll give him time to mull over it.
Why were you so quick to doubt? I mean, we have to take a lot of things. When someone says they're at this viewer height, there's no way to disprove it. So you have to take a lot of things like for granted. You know what I mean? We give you that without challenging. But did you have a specific reason for challenging the height itself?
Yeah, because I just don't.
He gave the wrong coordinates. Yeah.
Yeah, he gave the wrong coordinates for a start, and secondly, I don't believe that he was at 30 feet. I'm sorry, he looks too low down. I have to say. I mean, you can just tell by the way the water flows and how near that boat. Right. So if I pause the boat, oh, here we go. So if I pause the boat, I pause it here.
Coup de grace, get out of the bag.
So I pause it here, and yeah, I mean that boat is behind what you would say is the Earth curve. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you definitely can't see it. Okay. Right. Until. Until it rises up. Look at it. Now it appears. Now we can.
And you've still got like 12 or 13 meters missing.
Hold on, wait a minute. Now we can see the boat, and then hang on, wait a minute. And now it's going to go behind a boat. Now it's behind a wave. Do you see that? See that little wave in the foreground that blocked off all that 15 meters?
You missed my original comment where I said the bottom of the boat is below the bottom of the boat in the foreground.
Yeah, and I've still not even explained why this is. Yeah, I've not even got to that.
Notice the loading containers as well, Ruth.
Yeah, I've not even got to that yet. But look at what these little waves are doing for the first point, right? Look at that. Look how much they are obscuring of the boat anyway, right? We're not even, this is tiny little waves that are blocking off half of the boat already.
Again, right? You're missing the point.
No.
The bottom of the boat in the background.
I've not even got to the coup de grace yet.
Is lower than the base of the boat in the foreground.
It's loaded. Look at it loaded with cargo.
It's not even got to the coup de grace yet.
You get 14 million people in a boat.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll let him go now, and when he returns, I'll spring the coup de grace on him. See if he can think what it's going to be. See if he can work it out in the meantime. What's actually causing the bottom of that boat to be hidden?
Yeah. Do you understand that the base, like if you imply where the base of the boat is in the background, and you draw an image, that line is below the base of the boat in the foreground.
Call me that.
Earth curve.
Oh my goodness, you're not oh my, that's so rudimentary, man.
All right, I'll try and be back in an hour or so.
All right. Catch you in a bit.
He's saying, Ranty, so if you drew a line, bring up the image again. So this is what he's saying, and this is unbelievable at this stage, honest to goodness. If you bring up the image where the boat is passing the other boat, and you drew a line at the what do you call the bottom of the boat again? Whatever you call it, where it would be. If you drew a line across, the line across the bottom, it's not the keel, is it? No, the keel is the bottom. Anyway,
it's the hull.
It's the hull.
The hull, of course, it's the hull. Sorry about that. Yeah, if you drew a line where the hull would be on both boats, because the secondary boat, the one in the background, is lower, that means it's going over a curved earth. It has to. I didn't realize that was the claim he was making. That's because he never got out his claim, but that's so rudimentary, isn't it? That is so rudimentary. And let me just say, the one thing you have to say is, well, what would it be like on a flat plane? Let me look for an honest explanation as to what's going on. So it's a very basic explanation, but yeah, that's mad.
Bloody hell. Google Earth had removed the feature to show you the depths of the water.
I thought you gave the game away there with the two, one behind the wave, first of all, so therefore it can't be a sort of a fixed horizon. Two, the weather conditions. And three, the killer is what I'm saying. Jesus Christ Almighty. If you have an empty ship, right, versus a fully laden ship, how much is it going to sink down? No, you don't have to be a genius to work out, it's going to sink down a lot. And so that's another factor. These three factors are killer, right?
Can you?
Ruha's point is, if you
can you guys?
Each one is lower.
All right. Can you verify for me, anybody, that it's just my Google Earth that's messing up, and just check for me. The bottom right hand corner where it says ELEV, so it'll say ELEV 0 meters or whatever. So basically, when you run your cursor over the ground, it normally tells you the elevation above sea level and etc. And when you go into the water, it can tell you the depths of the trenches. Can anyone see that if theirs is working? Because mine doesn't seem to be working. I just want to know if they've nerfed my abilities to bring up the reasons why.
I mean, you're looking for the lay of the land there as the water is in the bay or wherever, and of course that is a factor. But look at the waves themselves. Some of those waves can be 10 feet high. and from your perspective, they can cover up something in the distance. What Ruth doesn't detail the distance between the two ships there, right? So this he was talking about this in terms of the lines he was saying for us to imagine. So I mean, is it just that he decides the distance because it's convenient, and you can say that, well, it has to be that distance because this is how much of the ship is vanishing, but you just have to show him that that's not how much of the ship is vanishing, because when a wave goes down, you can see pretty much most of the fucking ship.
Yeah, that's
you know
it.
What I mean?
Well, yeah, most of the boat can be seen anyway, but there is a reason why. You know, there is a small shelf there that creates this little shoal, and the boat is actually the boat in the foreground's on the shoal, and the boat behind it is behind that. So it's black behind a mini wave, and it only needs to be a tiny wave. It only has to be a couple of feet or so to finish off that obstruction in the distance. I mean, you already saw what that tiny little wave did to the boat. I mean, it got rid of half the boat and more. In fact, some of the containers on it as well. You know, that tiny little wave. And I also disagree with his elevation height. I'm sorry, but I don't care how many times he tries to tell me that he was up there at 30 feet. I just don't believe him. I'm sorry, I just don't believe it. I think he went down here. I think he went down the steps onto the shoreline here, and I think he filmed it from way down here. And I believe his elevation was no more than 10 feet. Absolutely, no more than 10 feet.
When you say tiny little wave, that's not a tiny little wave, man. That's a swell. It's a swell. And remember, you're looking over distance, so you have to sort of decode the distance. But that is a swell, and yeah, it looks like a fairly sort of inclement day there, and you can get fucking you wouldn't even know it. You get a 10-foot wave out there.
Well, Travis will tell you. Travis will tell you that, you know, you don't get these kind of narrow waves like this, you know, from a high elevation. I mean, you know, you just don't do it. And this boat is only 4 miles away. I mean, it's nothing for a P900 or a P1000. 4 miles, it's nothing. You're not even at full zoom on this. You know,
yes,
and
but that's still a massive distance, Ranty. You know what I mean? And see that wave adjacent to the keel of the boat. Whatever is that the bow of the boat, right? You can see the sort of white horses as you go horizontally across. Yeah, just move over a small bit to the just diagonally across there. You can see the white horses. That wave could be in relation to sea level. That could be like 10 foot high, easily out that far that you can clearly see it. You know what I mean? A particular wave. It is a swell.
Well, he's telling.
One thing is the water line of the red, and that boat is not loaded with cargo, so it's sitting really high.
Right.
I mean, that red line could be as much as 20 foot. Those waves crashing against the bow there are white cap, and you have white caps. That could be 3 or 4 foot waves right there. You wouldn't know.
It'd be interesting for somebody to do some triangulations, really, and see whether or not... He's saying that the horizon is, it should be 3 miles beyond this, but it's only 12 miles to the observer, and in a straight line, well, I mean, these boats, if I could figure out what that boat is and the height of that and measure it to this bottom of the keel, I should be able to triangulate his height above sea level, shouldn't I? And see if it matches up. Because I'm telling you now, if that's just a metre or two down there, then that only puts him at 6 metres above sea level. And if it's less than that, then he's lying, isn't he? But I don't think that's true. I don't think there's 3 miles in that little section there. I mean, I know that things do converge, but to me, at least, something that boat is just 4 miles away. I just don't see that being 3 miles in that little section there.
I agree with him on that one, though. It's hard to tell when you're looking straight away from you, distance. We're not good at that as humans, but I wanted to warn you something, Ranty, or make you aware, and I think you know this, but it's hard to know the height, especially when you're zooming in and out. That camera, when you're zooming in and out, will, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to know what zoom he's on, so the height will, can fool you, right?
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Well, I'll find.
Give him the benefit of the doubt. Is that all you can do?
Yeah, maybe give him the benefit, because the zoom really tricks you on the height of, even when I'm observing things and I know where I was, I'm like, wait a minute, I look way lower or way higher.
Oh, well, where would you say he was on? If you was to sort of level him up with this boat in the foreground, could you sort of like have a guesstimation as to where he would be? Where his head height would be in relation to the boat in the foreground?
When this picture first came up, I said 15-foot observer.
Anybody
without
else?
any data.
You know, I mean, would you put him here? You know, if he was doing in a dead straight line, horizontal line to the boat, would you put him there? Would you put him higher up? You know, would you put it up here? I mean, you can't see the walkway.
Yeah, but
so
halfway, and I would say,
he's
like,
about here,
don't forget,
isn't he?
10 meters is just 30 feet.
Okay, well, let's see if I can find this
the
boat.
height of your house, right? So 2 houses. Would that tanker be the height of 2 houses? Yes, it would. So I don't see. And look, we know we're fucking dealing with liars anyway. Ruhif knows the earth is flat. Is he a millionaire? Probably in a sort of secret Mason club. And
he sounded like he was trolling. To be
been doing the
honest.
same shit for years, man.
Yeah, for years he's been here and he don't know this art. Come on, man. Seems strange.
They offer, I tell you, not something for nothing, anyone out there listening. All the ballers are charged with now is just sort of rinse and repeat. Waste your time. As long as they have to speak to you, go over this. See, notice how much infinite patience they have, like when it comes to regurgitating the same things. They never concede. They'll never grant you a good point and develop on that. And they'll never talk about anything else as well. So let's get real, right? Come on. We're expecting at the end of the day. Gives a brain.
He escaped. He said he'd be back though, didn't he? So we'll see. The Epic. Right, so it's called the Epic.
I wonder what's in it for him though. He's quite open about having a life-threatening or had a life-threatening illness, right? I'm not sure where he's at now, but that's life-changing. He has children, he seems respectable enough. Yet he's a clear liar. He's defending lies. Anyone who knows any of these characters know that they're blatantly lying. They know better, right? But they're acting in cooperation for some reason. So I wonder what he knows. I mean, is there a war going on here? Has he sold his soul to the bad side, the devil? You know what I mean? Are these people the enemy? This is what I'm trying to get at here. And we can go, the cows come home, spend all of our time just thinking and going through the same thing, trying to convince these people who are already well aware of the true nature of the situation. They have to be. Do you know what I mean? So we sort of get to the deeper questions. Are these people ultimately enemies to mankind? If there is a war going on, they pick their side and they knowingly do so. That makes them enemy to mankind in that scenario. And well, as I'm banned from Jose JG's channel for saying, and I've said it over the years, if these people are found guilty of crimes against humanity, well, I deem that a just punishment would be death by hanging. I wouldn't hang them myself. I try to forgive everybody. But if I put myself in that situation, I would say that's a just fucking punishment for me, if even light. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, these understanding that these people will come back and defend the same thing. Notice how Ruhif is so very particular. That's why next time, maybe not tonight's show, but next time, let me and Ruhif have half an hour with the Mount Canigou picture. I made shit of Sly Sparkane, and he had to hang up on Jose. Not because I have any great thing. It's because I'm speaking fucking sense. So let's have a half an hour the next time. Ranty probably won't be tonight because it's probably late. Rant over.
Rant over, yeah.
It's true, you know what I mean. It is true, and in these corona-ridden times, what's the ultimate purpose of all this? And I say the same thing. It's all about the individual here. Coming to this realization, again, we were given a creator, given intelligence to ultimately, probably, to work it out, recognize all the people acting their part, be it on that side or on this side, and sort of move on, realizing it's your own quest. I have to laugh at Mick West's screen choice, right? Name choice. Mick Quest, say it fast. My quest. Are we all on a quest? I love a quest. King Arthur's quest, right? He took the sword from the stone, right? And actually, funny enough, you have the round table theme, which is Arthurian. And again, funny enough, JFK, once you get beyond the obvious sort of fake assassination, well, he's associated with Camelot, their whole troop war, and that event or non-event was referred to as the killing of the king. So the association with King Arthur, and as I told you, I think you brought it up before, if you look at his Eternal Flame Memorial, at Arlington Cemetery. It's very basic, very simple. It's a crater, and you have an eternal flame rising from the very center. So, you know, all different clues for us once we get beyond. These are all actors on the stage. It's all a fucking theater, as Mark Sargent told us, right? So how far are we making inroads into that, I guess? I think you should definitely put aside some time for that. You know what I mean? In a more expansive show, we go on for 4 or 5 hours. Give the ballers their time. Make a show of them. But then understand there's other matters going on. Corona, for instance. Is everywhere. People masked up to the gills. I haven't worn one yet, so madness.
So how many people have we got in? Let's see. We've got Gleaming. Hang on, let me just introduce everybody because I've not been paying too much attention. Right. So Bev, try thinking. I see you in. Ether Boy, F Evangelist, Aaron, Gleam, Dodo Man, Yossi, Lick the Wacky Toad. Paige, Plain and Simple, myself, Rakia, Rob Keane, the Real Bob Dole, Right the Hand, and Domesticated Primate. So, how is everybody? Yeah, we're all right, Randy. Yeah, we're good. You right, Paige?
Yeah, no headphones on, so I'm staying on mute.
Okay. No
the Evangelist is looking for a camera here, Randy.
He's I told him about it before you got in, actually.
I think you told the world about it. Right, I saw your video with Arwen.
Started early, and I'm at work.
Wait, may I just say something to you guys? If I suggest this is a statement, parallel lines converging have no magnitude. Does that register or make sense to anybody?
Yes.
Absolutely. You made a light bulb go off in my head the other day saying that.
So in Euclid's interpretation, I found Encyclopedia Britannica 1911 edition. There's an interpretation of parallel lines converging, creating no magnitude. And in geometry, magnitude means length, solid, something measurable, right? I wanted to ask Ruhif if these converging lines had any magnitude, and see what his response was.
He's not here.
Because the thing is that how can something, the horizon that has converging lines that have no magnitude, create be physical, right? That's what I wanted to ask him.
Well,
yeah,
I think
when you said that the other day, I went, oh my god, yeah, they've been thinking about what happens to like train tracks off in the distance, what happens after those lines come together, and they extend that in their mind, but it has no magnitude, no physicality, because it's a thought.
That's right, yeah.
Well, it is a thought, but they transfer it to the imaginary sphere. But we can all relate to a basketball or a football as you draw lines from a polar point, let's put it like that, to its antipode, right? And like orange segments, right? Like sort of the okay. Was that me? I'm not sure. Don't think so. But yeah, like the phases of the moon in a sense, right? So this is their strict definition of the new parallel. This is their strict definition.
Yeah, so that they need a different word.
Right. Well, I mean, I suppose you have to sort of go along with it, right? Because let me say something. Actually, something is contoured in Earth, right? We know the Earth is flat, the stationary Earth. This is the Cartesian coordinate system, but something is contoured, and they know the sky is contoured. So if it is, how do you devise a system to sort of chart it out? Do you know what I mean? And this is where the longitudinal coordinate system coincides with the coordinate system for the sky. When you pick out a point in the sky, it's given a declination from longitude, right? So again, in two-dimensional points will satisfy it. So yeah, it's all a sort of a thought exercise, but it has a sort of a practical interpretation. And this is what I've always said: flat Earth data. The truth is known. This anything to do with the spinning ball Earth is metaphor. This lie is built on the truth, and we were always meant to sort of unravel it. The way I like to look at the Earth, right? In the blue marble, let's say the blue marble, it's like a Da Vinci sort of masterpiece. You can look at it and take the literal, which is what we're encouraged to do all the time, unless you can sort of unravel it And when you break it into a sort of component part, you get a panoramic sort of view of reality, or impression of reality. You know what I mean?
It's quite interesting. You guys know Danny Faulkner. Danny Faulkner was just on his Genesis history earlier today, and he was discussing. He was discussing. He was discussing the Greek. He was discussing the Greek model of the celestial sphere, with the sphere inside the celestial sphere, and it was quite interesting to see how he would tell his students that even though the model is wrong, let's pretend it's right. So it's quite interesting. The celestial sphere, from all the research that I've done, the study of the celestial bodies, the surrounding egg, if you will, has been correlated to the positions on Earth. So they've kind of just transposed the sphere body from the celestial above. And it's funny when if you guys go and watch Danny Faulkner talk about this model, he'll clearly tell you that it's a thought experiment. He'll clearly tell you, we know it's not real, but we're going to think it of as real. It's no joke. I mean, I'm just like astonished that these guys are, and then breaking down the firmament, the rakia, the origin of it. Check it out. It's Genesis History. It's a YouTube channel. He was just on it live today.
It's very interesting. I mean, I was talking to a young girl the other day, and people around here know I'm a flat earther. But she was saying that in school they were taught, and it was relatively recently because they're just back in school, right? And she's about 8. I think about 8 or 9, the girls. But it's just neighbors, like they live around. But yeah, she was saying that they're taught in school that the Earth is the part of the Earth that they live on is flat, but the Earth itself is round. And she started talking about a hub, and I think it's been exposed gradually and slowly but surely, you know what I mean? And we've said it for a long time, at least if you haven't realized, flat Earth was handed to us on a plate.
Yeah, it was, and I think the COVID is a potential slowdown of the spread of information. I think it's a multilateral guise for manipulation, for psyops.
I would say it's the opposite. I would say COVID was to encourage the information, because more people are looking. They have more time. They're spending more time in front of their computers, looking at more information. You're spending more time on live streams, all that kind of stuff. So I think if they did give it to us, then
the kids aren't searching that though. That's what I mean. The kids aren't really searching it. Like I look at.
Do you have
now,
children?
I do. Now my 11-year-old's getting feeds and Instagram.
Mine have been in this for years, and all their friends talk about it.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, my daughter is a little bit behind, but she knows of it because of me. But now she's starting to see.
Sons.
Yeah. See, she's seeing it. She's seeing it pop up now, and like all the mainstream. She's seeing it pop up now in conversation, excellent. And this is like, So I think the COVID was to kind of slow down the.
No, I reckon that she's found out about it because more people are talking about it now because they're home.
Maybe.
With more time.
We say Corona brings enlightenment, Paige, as you know, and I still hold that the new era began for 2020. I still hold that was the night of the Starlink flyover. I think you presented it that night, Randy, April 19th, April 20th, if I'm not mistaken. So, I agree with Paige.
I guess it's a double-edged sword in the sense that you do get to wake up the more people are home, they're going to be fed this algorithm. But I'm just thinking the overall spread. I don't know. It's a catch-22, I guess. Yeah, because
let me tell you what people are being fed generally. So you have, first of all, people who pay attention to the mainstream, and that's the same old story. But for the people who are, and of course everyone has iPhones, access, and there's a different algorithm than applied to the phone there is to your laptop, your computer. But anyway, they're being fed all of the horror stories, the Epstein, the Pizzagate, the Bill Gates, all of this sort of stuff. What are your own view on that? I have my own view on that. I say it's all all of it is part of this theater. But yeah, that's where they're being immersed in, right? And it's a pretty deep hole, and it's just, you know, a shock to the system to get into those depths. And I did myself. Anyone knows anything about MK Ultra and all of that sort of stuff, but I left it sort of behind. I wouldn't say momentarily, but yeah, there is a deeper thing to consider. But they're certainly being led down that pathway. But at the same time, then, have you met anybody who hasn't heard the possibility that the Earth might be flat? I've even heard people taking Mandela effect seriously and saying that, look, now we're in a time where we don't know where the Earth is flat or round. It's also confusing for everyone. You know?
Well, this week past, I went on vacation and I had a whole bunch of people come over to my house with their kids. And they already know I'm a flat earther, right? These people, they kind of ask me questions here and there. But a couple of kids came up and they were like, well, about the ISS and everything. So what I did is I took I took a GoPro and I took them up to a counter. I took all these 3 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls, I think around the ages of maybe 9, 8, 10. There were other parents' kids. They came to my house. They know I'm a flat earther. They know I talk about the world of being flat. So all these kids were angry. They're like, it's a ball, it's a sphere. And I said, okay. Yeah. I said, wait a second, come look at this GoPro. And I took the edge of a countertop and I angled it up and I angled it down to show the, convex and concave motion of the lens. The 3 boys got angry at the GoPro. That's a shitty camera. And I said, well, what do you think they're shooting with a wide angle lens to give you this nice curve? So even if you're going to have flat Earth's going to divide kids, is my point, because you have these kids that they can see the logic behind it, they can look at it, but then you've got this other group of kids that, no, don't take my ball away from me, don't do it, right? Like they'll get just as angry as an adult, and I find that it's going to be interesting because now they're going to pit kids against each other, whether it's masks, whether it's the cosmology of the Earth, right? It's a complete rehaul of all of our institutions, all of our truths. So I think we're at that last stage of, all these intellects now turned into, basically has destroyed us with this overindulged, decadent lifestyle. And, we got to go back to the innovator.
The children will save us, man. The children will lead us home. So,
I hope so. I hope you're right.
I do. I know it in my heart. And that's what I keep saying to flat earthers out there. If you've been in this 5 or 6 years, imagine how long it would take your neighbor to catch up with you if they had sort of free access to information. I'm not saying where you're at, but if all you're at is, well, the Earth is flat and not moving, well, that's not very far along, because of course there's a different story to our reality. And ultimately, well, it comes back to us, right? Flat Earth data. It comes back to you, the individual. You are a representative of mankind, and what applies to one applies to all. So maybe the same story applies to all of us, and it's there for the reckoning by none other than, well, the individual. And each individual is encouraged, and I think at every step along the path. Really, it's just when you come to realize that there's a different game in play, then you can read all the signs and look back at stuff that you missed. I talked about the JFK assassination there. That was worldwide news. To come along even here and say that it was a fake assassination, which I knew 10 years ago after research, all the research is done. And I now realize we were meant to come to those conclusions, but that gets the backs up in lots of flat earthers even. So you know what I mean? It depends on the question you, the individual, decides to ask. And ultimately, it depends on where you fucking place yourself now that you've taken yourself off of a spinning ball Earth, as metaphorically given, I say.
It's sort of hard to fathom what's going on politically when you are a flat earther, because the way I look at it now is that they were warning people ahead of time of what's coming, and flat earth was one indication, because I think what flat earth does is opens up the world to what it actually is, and that's what we observe it as. And I think if we pay attention to that, we can navigate through it more. So it is a catch-22 or a double-edged sword of whatever, this COVID, and because it does wake people up to the idea of the overreach from the government, the conspiracy there, but it's not getting the kids. The kids are still not really being affected by flat earth or being affected by the truth of COVID, right? They're getting the negative effects of it as opposed to the positive effects, which would be, well, understanding of the world around you, maybe an interest in physics or math, right? Rather than just this cartoon world, right? So getting to the kids, I think, is vital. And if they're online schooling and part-time in school, it's going to overwhelm these parents. These parents are going to be exhausted. They can't, how are they going to manage these psychological effects of the political events plus the the conspiracies that are hitting all these parents? They're just going to give up and then let the institution handle it. That's what I see happening.
Well, listen, more than ever, you're on your fucking own in this one, because there's so much confusion around, and people are forced, as Paige was saying, we can all appreciate more people have had more time just to sort of take stock of their life or take stock of reality. So there's going to be those inward battles going on, and it's sort of, in a sense, no reaching somewhere. That's what I say. As a flat earther, you have to have moved beyond that. Now we move beyond the cartoon spinning ball. When we look at the sky and we look at the moon being the same size as the sun, like a child, we might suggest, well, maybe one is a reflection of another. But just after watching Alice Through the Looking Glass, or Snow White and the Seven, no, it's not Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It is, yeah, with the mirror on the wall, another Mandela effect. Do you know what I mean? So if you follow that line of thought, which is always cut off, right, by the ballers, they will never want you to leave the ball, all talking about the same thing. But when you get beyond there and follow that line of thought, well, then you develop a picture yourself, and that's all there is, yourself, right, trying to make sense out of all of this. And there's either sense to be made or there isn't. I absolutely think there is, and I think we're much greater than this experience here. And I think once we leave here, actually, it all fades, and that includes our ideas of God and the devil, etc. Not to mind the flat earth.
Would you want to know? Okay, so let's say you were to die. Would you want to know let's say if you died, you would get revealed, what the world is and the truth about it. Would you want to be told, or would you just want to?
It's interesting, right? It's very interesting, flat earth data, because if right where you're at right now, just right now, right, I'll ask everyone listening here and everyone listening in the audience as well, do you want to come back and live? So that's the thought, that's the killer thought. Would you want to come back and live another life? Is the thought of death, right, or a life after death, or reincarnation, say, is that terrify you? At all costs, do you want to avoid that and stay wherever, but anything but coming back here?
Yeah, don't send me back here. Especially
I'm not saying coming back here with amnesia. I'm saying, would you want?
We're all born with amnesia.
Exactly.
If I could come back knowing, why I was here or whatever, then maybe, it's a nice place to live. It's beautiful. There's lots of stuff to do here. But being born with no knowledge and, having to try and figure out what they've lied about, what they might not have lied about, it's just ludicrous. We've got no ability, or very little ability, to steer ourselves in the right direction. So, I'd rather
that depends on that depends on the education we receive too. If we were, where our brains are Play-Doh, really.
That education was truthful, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean,
maybe our lives are about coming towards this truth, Paige, because if we are in this dual system, and this is not our nature, right? The only way we can come to know, embrace, and appreciate the truth is via the lie. It's a necessity. And I'll just say, with the changing of the ages from Pisces into Aquarius, this is a new age. So, to sort of say, look, I'm not sure where I stand myself. I'm thinking, like, I don't want to come back here at all costs, but then I have a view of a perfect life. You know what I mean? My view of a perfect life, if life was like this, then I would love to come back here. Well, then I would say to myself, well, maybe that's why you're here, is to make that life for yourself. You don't know what the future holds. You don't know what part you as an individual has to play in the greater unfurling or unrolling of time, right? We don't know. But one thing we do know
what impact
is that the story we've been told
choices
is a far cry from reality, Paige. And that's one thing we do know. And again, ultimately, it will come back to you as the individual and your thoughts on self and what your role actually may be here, right?
Did you guys ever hear the whole?
I was just going to say, let me just add, flatter data. It's a bit harsh because, I mean, would we choose eternity, whatever it entails, rather than this life, all we know, and the things that we could do to make it better for ourselves? I dare say, if we put into our heart a sort of painted a picture of an idyllic situation for ourselves, right? For ourselves, family or close one, we could make it happen. I think you could if you could only be that determined. I think you could. So maybe that's what this life is about.
This world could be a beautiful place to live.
So that's a yes. If you die, you would want to be told the truth about this place. Is that a long-winded yes, or would you say no?
It's a conundrum, man. It's a conundrum. I think we're here to find out the truth of this place, and if we don't, but I don't, we do learn it anyway.
I think at the material level, we learn how precious life is, and I think at the material level, we learn what's important in that existence. But as far as being told the great mystery or the puzzle at the end, I would sure hope to God that at the end, for me personally, going through all this confusion, it would be just like a hand on the shoulder and be like, "This is what it is. Don't worry." You know what I mean? At the end of it all, right? I mean,
what if you at the end of the day realize that you send yourself in, and you sort of kicked yourself for not being able to figure out? For instance, I've talked many times about.
I think about that.
Well, yeah, true.
I've talked many times
What the
about
hell did I
Rockabye
make
Baby.
that choice for?
Imagine you saying that to yourself, though. I talked about the children's games, children's lullabies. Rockabye Baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. Down will come baby, cradle and all. In a nutshell, we're told what we're in for when we enter this. So what if you kick yourself for not looking at the true signs, flatter data, and boot yourself back into a sort of a new existence? You still being you, but just your memories wiped.
Right, do you want to see my calculations for this boat?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's get it on. Right, okay, so the boat in the foreground was called the Epic, right? Okay, so it's not to be mistaken by a cruise liner. It's actually a bulk cargo carrier, and I was able to find it. This is a side-on view of the boat. It's 292 meters in length. Okay, so what I have done is I have scaled it, and I've used the same measurement to get a scale going up the side of the boat. Okay, from the top to the bottom. And as you can see, when it's in the dock and it's not got any weight on it or anything, it's substantially out of the water. The problem is when we actually put a line in. So what I've done here is I've taken the original image over here when it's out. You can see how much of this orange is out. Can you see it there compared to the black? Yeah, but when we look at the image, the actual image here at the top,
there's only a tiny bit.
There's only a tiny bit, yeah, so it's quite laden down. So what I've had to do is I've had to chop off the bottom of the boat and scale it. And when I put the measurement on it again, what it gives me is a portion, you know, if we went to there, say, this is in meters. So if we went to there, it was about halfway, so it's about 2 meters or so, is the middle part of the orange part of the boat. Now, if we look at the footage, which is over here, yeah, can you see that the orange part here? The horizon meets the center part of the orange.
Yeah, it does about,
right.
Yep.
So we can quite accurately say that we're actually seeing at this point, with the boat laden as such, that we're actually seeing to the horizon. This boat is actually 2 meters above the water here, and then if we believe the calculations that they're telling us, it's 7.59 miles to the horizon, and this boat is 4.79 miles away. Now, how does that work out if we do a straight line of sight? So what I've done is I've put the observer at the shoreline, and then I've scaled out a distance to the horizon up here, which is 4.59 miles away. I've then put the boat in the center at 4.79 miles away and raised it up to 2 meters. Now, if we, obviously, because we're looking through the atmosphere here, so we're not looking for a curve, we would be seeing that the observer would be less than 6 meters, more likely closer to 5.2 meters above the water when he actually took the image.
Yeah, so you've just looked at it backwards to find his height above sea level.
Yes, if we put the scales in to what they've told us, that this is the horizon distance, this is the boat, this is what we've ladened it down to, this is where we can triangulate it to. We're looking at about 5.2, 5.3 meters above actual sea level.
So you're 100% sure he wasn't up on that?
Yes, he couldn't.
Car park thing. He was down on the sand.
Yeah, he needed to be at, for this calculation to work, he had to be at 9 meters. So his observer height here, being at just 5.2 meters, is almost half the height of what he would have to be to get this. Yeah. So basically, if he was at 9 meters up there, then we would have seen the horizon meet the bottom of the boat at the top of the orange. At the top of the orange, not halfway down the orange. That's where we would have seen it. And then when we did a direct line of sight, we'd have seen it traversing the top of the boat, top of the orange, right down to the horizon like that, and then that would have matched. So there's absolutely no way having...
Who did the observation?
I
don't know, some random dude.
His channel name is MC, the EMC1.
Oh, MC, the MC, yep.
Okay, so like I say, you can definitely see that I've got the proportions right. The amount of orange that's being seen here is the same as the amount of orange that's being seen in relation to the black part of the boat. So it's all scaled correctly. And all I'm saying is that if he was at the elevation he says he was and the distances involved, the horizon would have met the boat here, not down here.
According to their geometry, right?
Just any geometry, straight line of sight geometry.
Yeah. Why do they lie about these things?
Because it matched their model then. When he put himself at 9 meters, it matched his model. He put himself, if he actually told you,
reality.
If he put himself at just 5.2 meters, then there wasn't enough, there was more boat showing than earth curvature, and they couldn't have that. So they had to say that they were at 9 meters because then it matched the observation whilst the boat was behind those waves. Obviously, we see that the boat peaks out behind the waves, but that's beside the point. The point is...
God, that's so annoying.
Yeah,
the coordinates they gave. You know the coordinates they gave, which was a wrong sort of location. Was that 9 meters by any chance?
Sorry, say it.
You know they gave mistaken coordinates, and
I can't check that because my Google Earth's playing up and it won't tell me the elevation. It won't tell me the elevations. So I've done it this way, and as I say, absolutely, if he was at 9 meters to triangulate that boat, he would have, the boat would have met the horizon at this point, and it didn't. That's why I said to Ruhif, I said, "Come on, mate. There's no way there's 3 miles in that little square there. There's no way that's 3 miles." But if the horizon had been, say, up there, then you could sort of understand it. You could say, well, okay, maybe he was at that sort of elevation. Because typically, the observations that we see, the horizon tends to be within 20% of where you'd expect it to be anyway. It all just depends on the weather conditions and stuff. So, but there was no way I could foresee that little amount there from his noted elevation of 9 meters was 3 miles. There's just no way.
Ranty, let me ask you a question real quick. So if I took his similar location height, so I in my Channel Islands observations, there is an elevated place where I could go and I'm at 40 feet. So that's a little bit higher than 10 meters, right? So
yeah.
But the issue then becomes, if I make an observation similar to his, I should have the same amount of obstruction.
Well, is it an issue? Yeah, I mean, you've just got to understand everything that's going on the day. Obviously you've got to just be accurate with your observed height and stuff. I'm not sure what the question is you're asking me, but...
Well, no, my point is that if the farthest boat is 13 miles away and he is at 30 plus feet, right? He's at 10 meters, that's over 30 feet.
Is the furthest boat? The furthest boat's at 16.2 miles.
Right. Yeah. Right. So what my point is that if I have an observation with the similar height and distance, then I should get the same result of obstruction.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it seems to me, right? This is a plausible. So that original coordinate they gave out was perhaps 9 meters, where they did take the observation from. They realized that it wouldn't work that way, and they moved the point of observation from there down to.
I don't even think that's the case, Pete. I think he went down quite low. I think he went down onto the beach. I think he took the video from there, because I can somewhat see that he's skipping. Just by the angle of the water. You know these things when you've done this sort of filming. That boat's only 4.79 miles away. It's not very far at all. And if you've done any kind of if you've done any kind of observations from the like me and Travis have, you just need to look at this and know that he isn't telling the truth about his observer height. You just know that, and you can demonstrate that quite clearly. Like I say, just simple trigonometry would tell you. Once you've scaled the boat, once you know how much of the boat is actually being seen, and it's good that they've got the orange and the black, and it's very clear on both, and you can scale it. And once you've got that data, and you've got the horizon that you can see in the distance, you can back engineer using trigonometry what the observer height would have been. And it scales back to about 5.2 meters, right? So that's basing on their assumption there that the horizon is 7.59 miles away. Yeah, that's what their assumption is. But once you back engineer it, you realize that there was no way he was at 30 feet. Well, it was impossible.
Don't forget that Ruhif always and ever, and take note of it the next time, talk about refraction and refraction effects added. So with refraction effects accounted for, he'll make an argument that the official figures that you give become distorted. That's what I imagine he would do.
Well, anybody can check this. Anybody can check it. They can get the boat. They can scale it themselves. All they have to do is just put the orange part, obviously, because when you see the tanker from the side on, it's out of the dock. So you see all of this, the bottom of how much of the hull is exposed. But when it's laden down, and it's in the water, you can see how much of it's sunk in the water. All you have to do is just overlay the images and just scale it. And then you can just use trigonometry and back engineer it from the calculations they've given you. 4.79 miles and 7.49 miles. Or sorry, 7.59 miles. And all you have to do is just back engineer that and know that his elevation could not have been at 9 meters. Couldn't have been. In fact, Ruhif said 10.
What about Brandon Toy's finding?
What do you mean? What about it?
What about his findings and how things become distorted when you have this sort of crossover point where the horizon meets, or whatever, the target meets the surface? I mean, I think you're calling foul from the outset. So immediately, if they're claiming an observer height that isn't the case, well then, it becomes untrustworthy in a court of law. All the evidence will be thrown out on that basis alone. But yeah, that's the only argument I can think that they'll make, is that you have to take into account all of these refraction effects. As I mentioned, Brandon Toy. But let me just say, did you say that the second boat was 16 miles away?
Yeah, 16.2 miles away. Look, listen what happens when you actually put the proper figures in. So when you actually back engineer and realize that he was approximately 5 meters, and you put that into the curve calculator, let's say, it should be 21 meters, right? So let's get a line in here somewhere. Let's just put a line in. So 21 meters. Now suddenly, of course it's not a frigging line, is it? There we go. So once you actually put the real scale in, and you realize that, oh, wait a minute, that's where Earth curve should be, right? But we know we're seeing the hull in the we're seeing the hull, we're seeing the front of the boat. In fact, we're seeing this peak out to probably about there, I would say. It pops out. So almost down to the hull, the orange part of the boat at the bottom. Well, of course, that to them that's like garlic, to a vampire, because they look at that and they think, well, that didn't really match. Well, the majority of the video shows, this part of the hull missing, say down to here. How would that match? Well, we'd need to be at 9 or 10 meters for that, and then they just claim that there are 9 or 10 meters. But simple trigonometry has debunked that. Anybody could have done that with trigonometry. It takes you 20 minutes to figure it out that he was not at 9 or 10 meters.
Well, the other thing too, Ranty. Well, let me think about this. Hold on, I got to think about my comment.
So let me extend that to 21. Let me extend that to 21 meters. Yeah. So there's 21 meters. There's where Earth curve says. Yeah. And none of that front of that boat should be seen, Pete. None of that front, and know that front of that boat peeps out way down to here.
Right.
And
so it's dead straight away, like according to their own figures.
Well, according to their own figures, they've massaged their elevation. So they've massaged their elevation to make it more globe-like.
Oh, right.
But you can use trigonometry, because you're using direct lines of sight here. You're using a boat that you've got direct line of sight to, and you're using the horizon as the cutoff point. So you've got 2 points that you can look at, and you've got those distances. So when you actually put them into trigonometry, you realise that he could only have been about 5.2 meters above the water. He couldn't have been at 9 or 10 meters. And then suddenly, when you plug that in, well, you realise that if his real observer height was 5.2 meters, none of the hull should have been seen at all. But in the video, it's very clear that we see lots of the hull, lots of the boat.
Either way, he's screwed. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to. Ruhif likes his trigonometry. Ruhif likes his mathematics. When he comes back, he's going to get blown out of the water with this, because there's no getting around it. You can't. You can use trigonometry on these because you're looking at direct lines of sight. You're not looking at anything other than direct line of sight. There's no Earth
fundamental
curve.
charge is that they realized that the images that they took from the height that they took it didn't adhere to spherical bollard, so they changed the observer height fraudulently and tried to then make that new observer height account for what we were seeing, and even then it doesn't work. I think that's the overall point, is that?
Yeah, none of it worked anyway. We saw when that boat peeped out and we saw it almost down to the hull of it. Yeah. It was game over then. But
if it's fucking 16 miles away, 16 miles in curve calculator is a monster. The whole ship, you shouldn't be seeing it at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
From their height. But, anyway.
This reminds me of that observation that Nat Geo did, where they had the little stripes on the piece of paper, and the girl's going, "Oh, look, it's gone over the curve. You can't see the bottom stripe, but you can see the horizon behind the paper a little bit higher up." Like, they either don't notice or they're being deceptive on purpose. So this guy seems to be doing it on purpose.
Well, yeah, I mean, you just can't get around the maths. The maths don't lie, and that's their favourite saying. Maths don't lie. Maths is reality. Well, you can use maths to prove that he wasn't at 10 metres. You can definitively prove that. With the calculations they've given, there is absolutely no way, once you scale the boat, that he was at that distance, that he was at that elevation.
They should never have to be even a tiny bit deceptive. The ball, it should be so obvious that, they should have so many videos of, things going over the curve where it's, absolutely obvious, like the nose on your face, but they don't. It's always excuses of why.
The problem, Paige, is like if your next door neighbour decides to have a look at this, what's Paige been yabbing on about? I'll just check out flat Earth. So they get on Google and they stumble across these kinds of videos. Your casual observer says, "Oh yeah, well, Paige is a loony," and moves on.
Yeah, Paige is crazy.
When crazies like us, who are a bit more seasoned at it, particularly Ranty, can just pull it to pieces and has got the time with paint and scales and all the rest of it. It's quick to expose their fraud, but to Joe Average, he just confirms flat earthers are nuts, and these intentionally deceptive videos just serve their purpose beautifully.
Yep, absolutely. Very frustrating.
Well, of course,
that's a possibility, Effie. And I mean, first of all, you have to take this seriously. And who cares about the people who don't take it seriously? We can't project, right? We don't know how the world is feeling.
I care about everybody, Pete.
But you know what I mean. How can you take into it? You want to worry about the numbers of flat Earth and Earthers in each different country and what sort of swell is going on, as opposed to the people who just look at one thing like you described there and sort of cast it away. These people will soon be left behind, I feel. But yeah, in a way, let me just say,
people like
Ruhif,
Ruhif who want to do their math to they just will not consider any other option.
Think about the page. Think about this. Randy's always talking about the new people coming. And same with Nathan Show. They aim at more. Quantum Erasers says that they aim at more the new people, not the regulars. Ruhif provides a challenge. Ruhif provides a sort of sounding board, and him being so sort of consistent in his area of expertise sort of gives the game away itself, like the National Geographic. When you cast a critical eye towards it and point out what you just pointed out, it's sort of too obvious, you know what I mean? So I think that the roles are meant to be exposed and seen through by the observer.
Yeah, well, our arguments wouldn't have become as sharp as they have without people like Ruhif and Rumpus and George and Fight the Flat Earth, all these guys. It's only because we have to think about the things they're saying, work it all out, and come back with something from our thoughts. That's the only reason we've managed to sharpen these arguments. So
there's a history there. All these characters, have been on the scene. But if someone was like Flat Earth Evangelist talking about, someone was to come in for the first time actually, and you were to look at, like, say, Nathan Oakland's show, a terrible impression would be given of for Flat Earthers. You think about Rumpus, George, all the rest of them. You just met them or heard them for the first time. They all come across very reasonable, presenting the sort of official story, which the casual observer, listener, probably accepts anyway. You know what I mean? So one side inevitably ends up looking bad. Maybe that's all part of it as well.
Hey, Randy, you there?
I'm here. Yeah.
You see the photo I put in general? Can you do your tell me my view? Because I took that photo.
Oh, crikey. Hang on. Wait a minute. You got all
if it's too much, don't worry about it.
Hold on.
Excellent. That's it. That would be a proof for the pudding, Randy. If you could do that, then...
That's actually not a bad idea. If you were able to scale something in that photo and show that you could tell him what his observer height is, within a close range, then that would lend credence to your sums with the other one.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
That's fair enough, but can you tell me the boat involved, how far away the first boat was, what the objects are in the background and how far away they were?
Yeah.
If you can tell me, I need all that data. You can't just look at an image and...
maybe he could give you the same amount of information you have with the Ruhif example.
I couldn't just see. I would. So it's not gonna work.
Sorry, say again.
I wouldn't be able to give the figures exactly. It'd just be approximate, so it might not work.
All right, no worries.
What actually, just give a rough from the gut feeling. I mean, you're looking at what's presented. What sort of general range do you feel?
Well, I couldn't make. Okay, hang on. Let me have a look. So let's just have a random guess. Observer height at this point.
Put a bit of thought into it, Ranty.
Okay, I'm gonna say.
Okay, I see.
4 feet.
And so let me. And so, Dave, let me have a look. Are you taking it from land? You're taking it from land, or yeah?
Can't tell you that.
Oh, you're not going to tell me what it's land or sea? Okay. Yeah, I say it's higher than that, actually. I say it's probably more close to maybe 15 feet or something like that. 15, 20 feet. That's my guess.
Yeah,
it's a bear in the clouds.
It's roughly about... It's roughly about 15, 16 foot above the water. Boat, I would say, is 3.5, 4 miles away.
Okay,
excellent.
So you
got it exactly right. 15 feet.
Pete's the new expert.
Well, that was just a guess. I mean,
it's good. It's nice to be proven wrong.
You weren't. No one was proven wrong. I mean, we're not. It's just a guess. I mean,
yeah, it's fine.
You understand what I was saying about the zoom, though? If I'm zooming way in on that, it appears higher to the viewer in the picture. You understand what I'm saying?
Say that again.
If I zoom in on the same boat, the water is going to appear higher in this photo that I zoom in more.
Yes, yeah. If you zoom in. Yeah, what was your zoom on that?
I'm not sure. I know I wasn't. You would say the viewer height was lower because the water would appear higher. That was my point earlier. It's hard to tell sometimes. Doing it by measurement is the best way.
Yeah. Right. So I've been busy. I'm still working on this other image because I've realised actually I was being too generous.
All these images need decoding, and I'm not just talking about back and forth with people like Ruhiv. I'm talking about what actually is going on, and there's lots of different factors that come into play. And one of the major factors is, as flat earthers, extended span has been given back to us, and what seems like the horizon is never the horizon. The object itself will set up a sort of a local horizon to itself. But the real horizon, which is where, again, the word is fucking purposefully, thrown into murky water there. But yeah, the real horizon, where the land ends or the water ends and the sky begins, can't see that, but it's way beyond in the distance. We have to take factors into consideration, especially the sun. What the sun is doing, water conditions, clouds in some parts, not other parts, when we're trying to decode it. But ultimately, it takes a decoding. And if you have let me just say, Ranty, to what you're trying to do there, if you're absolutely set and solid, give him more rope, than you need to when you're doing these mathematical calculations. But when you're solid on it, then solid on that foundation, then everything else must follow. So make sure that the foundation is correct.
Is that for me, Pete?
Ranty is something for you, but it was for Ranty. What Ranty has for you, if you're just back, that's what we're talking about. But he'll probably want to. Well, do you want to go into that with Ruhiv now, or a bit more time to work in it? What do you think, Ranty?
11 divided by 2.5.
Ranty's working away.
What was that, Ranty?
2.5. Well, we were talking about it. There's no need to whisper. Ranty's like a workhorse in the background.
Yeah, sorry. I'm still dissecting. Yeah, so it's fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Right. Right. Okay. So, yeah, there's a few problems with your claim here, Ruhiv. With your observation that you've put forth. Let's share my screen so that you can see. Okay, so I've scaled your boat, and it's 292 meters. Okay.
That's not the boat, though, right?
It's the Epic. Yes, it's the boat. The
boat
boat
the
in
Epic.
foot.
Okay. Yeah, I don't care about the Epic. The Conti Leon's the background one.
Oh no, I do. I'm caring about that.
Right.
So it's 292 meters long. And when I've scaled it, we've been able to get some elevation heights, etc. But this is the boat, obviously in dock without any cargo on it. And can you see how much of the bow? You've got the different colours. You've got the black and you've got the orange. Can you see the two different colours? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
draft of the boat.
So here we go. So here's a screenshot. Would you agree? Obviously, this is taken from the video. I've flipped it around actually, so that it matches the image that I've got. But basically,
that's the front.
Yeah, this is the front of it. Yeah. So, can you see how much of the draft is showing on this particular image? Yeah. So, do you remember when I asked you, and I said, because you can see the horizon, mate. I said the horizon's like halfway up the orange, and you're going to tell me that was 3 miles away. You're still going to stick to that? Yeah. You're still going to sort of approximately...
It's incredibly difficult to tell because it's almost parallel to your line of sight.
Would you agree that trigonometry can figure this out, though?
If you had the exact measurements and there was no waves and no confounding factors, yes. But there are waves and confounding factors.
Cool. Well, obviously throughout the image, it relatively stays in the center of the orange. We know that. You know, it doesn't much change from the center of the orange. So we can sort of, you know, almost pretty much to a T put the horizon about the mid part of the orange of the draft. And we know the distance then to the horizon because you've told us it's his elevation was 9 meters. So, you know, so it's like, what is it, 7.59 miles away, I think it is, to the horizon.
Yep.
And we know that it's 4.79 miles away to this epic boat because, you know, we've got the GPS for that as well. So would you agree then that if we knew the distance to the horizon, the elevation across the boat, whatever this amount is here that we can actually see of the boat here, if we can measure that, then we should be able to back engineer his observer height using trigonometry?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of margin for error there.
I don't think so.
Show us what you're going to do.
No, there's not. There's zero height at the back. Zero height there. There's a number here for how much of the boat, how much of the draft is above the water in relation to the horizon. So we have a direct line of sight. So now we can triangulate it because we've got this distance, we've got that distance, and now we should be able to back engineer it to figure out what the elevation height is. Yeah.
Yeah, but you've got incredibly small angles, and that leads to big errors of margins of error.
Hang on, why are you talking about margins of error now when we're talking about a boat that went in and out of the wave and was completely hidden 1 minute and completely visible the next? Was that not a margin?
Show me what you're going to do.
Hold a minute. Was that not
show me what you're going to do, and then I might even make a video as to why there are huge margins of error.
Well, this boat is stationary and doesn't move, and the horizon is stationary and doesn't move. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, little waves here and there, but yeah, fine.
Yeah, so, you know, we can always assume, logic and reason, that the horizon is here and the boat is here, and we know these factors stay consistent throughout the image, throughout the whole video. The horizon is always about here, the boat is always here.
You're going to measure the red part, right, and say it's like, I don't know, 2 meters or whatever.
Yeah, but why are you worried?
What if it's 1.8 meters?
Why are you worried? Why are you already worried?
Because I know you're going to fuck it up.
Really? Okay, so... Yeah. Right, so let's have a look over here. Let's have a look over here. So on this boat, right, so here is the boat, right? So I've scaled it so that this is at 5 inches, let's say. This is 5 inches to this part of the boat because it's an easy part to see, right?
5 centimeters anyway.
5 centimeters, right? So it's 5 centimeters, yeah? And we've got the bow of the bottom here is down at the water level. And then give or take, you know, it's thereabouts at 1 to the orange. So it's almost a 4-to-1 scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
1 centimeter and then 4 above it. So if we took this image here, this image that's in dry dock, and then we go back over here, and then we rescale it, and we put this black line in now in order to get the measurements in and to find out how much of the boat was actually missing. Again, I've scaled it. This time I've used it down to 5 millimeters. So 5 millimeters is there and 25 millimeters is up the top there. So we can say that there was the waterline, right? So now what we need to do is figure out, well, how much is that? What's this distance here? Yeah, what's that distance there? How much does that equate to? So when we come over here and I've rescaled it again, I've done the same thing over here and I've rescaled it again, and we've come to this point here. Now this is in meters, so this is already scaled because this wasn't changed. This is 292 meters across length. This is the height from out of the water, obviously. So when we actually put the water in, when it's filled with, when it's laden with cargo, we put it to there. And we're looking at the draft of it as around about 8 meters or thereabouts, and then we're looking at just under 11 meters to the top of the orange, and then when we come right up to the top it's about 22 meters thereabouts, and that scales 4-to-1. That scales 4-to-1. So when we scale it 4-to-1, we've got 1 meter, 2 meters, about 2.5 meters. That's about 2.5 meters here, right? So if I put the text in there, 2.5 meters. So we know that we're actually seeing 2.5 meters of the orange, right? That That is definitive, approximately. So now when we come back over here, let's work it out. So observer height, well, observer distance here, and distance to the horizon that you've been told, 7.59 miles, right? The boat is at 4.79 miles, we know that, and that's at 2.5 meters. But it intersects the center of the orange. So it's around about 1.25 meters, right? So if it intersects at 1.25 meters here, and we know that the distance is a 2.8 miles to this, we can backtrack 2.8 miles to there, which takes us to 2 miles. And they're the same distance, obviously. So if it's 1.25 meters there, it'll be 2.5 meters here. And then by the time we get to the shoreline, it's going to be around about 4 meters. So using trigonometry, by being able to just look through the midpoint of that orange to the horizon, it says that his observer height using trigonometry and mathematics and distances, because maths don't lie, is about 4 meters.
All right, so do I have enough now to work on to do a video?
Absolutely. Knock yourself out.
Awesome. All right.
No answer
Cool.
now,
Give
we're
me
just going to do a video. Right, perfect, right. Away you go. Off you pop.
All right. Cool.
Crack. See you later.
Ranty, if you would have done all that math while yelling twat and moron, Rumpus, Rufus would have just...
I was just going to say, if you were doing it for the ball side, it would be perfect. You would be congratulated, clapped and said, yep, you know, you've done a brilliant job, but because it's for our side, it's no, you will have fucked it up.
Yeah, well, he agreed, you know, I mean, he agreed with me that you can use trigonometry to use it unless you're fucking it up. He saw the scales that I used, you know, the scales were accurate.
Yeah, you didn't fuck it up.
No.
It's a bit hard to...
So, he's gone, yeah, he's gone to go and mull it over, I think.
Yeah, couldn't even give like an answer now, and
I'm happy. Well,
Ruhif would have to be one of the slimiest ones on their side, like slippery.
Oh, that's your fellow Oz man as well, Paige.
That's how we can tell. That's how we can tell, Pete.
Well, he's gonna.
Yeah, it probably is how I can tell. Yeah.
We can pick it.
So there's no way.
It's totally different to you, Effie. Like, you know, his whole personality, the way he comes across, the tone in his voice, the things he says. You know, you can just tell he's slippery.
So anybody can have these calculations that I've done.
Angela say that the heart of man is inherently evil.
Yes.
Is that true?
Ruhif may well be a first-hand example of it.
So let me.
That applies to all of us. So am I withholding or sort of bottling up some evil I'm dying to sort of display upon the world? Is that the how can God create something evil, Evangelist?
Pete, are you going to take us off into the weeds here?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is going into a religious discussion now.
Maybe we'll save it for the after show, Pete. We can get into it.
If Ruhif is a slippery customer, right, and we're all inherently, the heart of us all is inherently evil, well, slippery isn't too bad a word to choose.
It's a good version, you reckon?
I didn't. It could be so much worse.
It's a good version of evil. Yeah, a good version of evil. Slippery. Is that what we call it?
Yeah, exactly. On the scale of how bad evil can get and the heart of evil can get.
But this is what I asked him earlier, because as Paige pointed out, like, he comes across very measured and very almost smarmy is the wrong word, but as I asked him, you know, if I come up with some footage that contradicts a little bit, but I said, if I come up with some footage that contradicts what you think, Ruhif, will you open-mindedly consider what you see? And straight away he just defaults back to it will be wrong.
Yeah, he can't open-minded. He will not. He's here. I don't know why he bothers coming here, and you know, because he's not interested in, you know, listening to our side and thinking about things from our point of view. He wants to tell us why we're wrong. That's all
Paige,
he's here for.
Did you ask him about the parallel lines converging?
No, he buggered off.
Oh, he already left, did he? Okay.
Yeah, he disappeared before and then he disappeared again. Yeah, he slipped away like a little eel.
Do you know?
Try and
Do you know what I
catch it, and it
find?
just wriggles out of your hand.
Do you know what I find really, really interesting is really just 60 years ago, 70 years ago, roughly, there was always this concept of space, but it was never present in daily lives up until 1960. I mean, let me rephrase that. As a mass-produced concept in a literary format, it really never took off until the late 50s, early 60s, before it was like mass-produced in every textbook. They'd have
and
like
television, yeah.
They've had prior to this, they had magazines. So back in the day, how people shopped was through catalogs. And the thing is through these catalogs, you had these paintings of the ball Earth. No science, nothing. So basically, all in all, it was a manufactured concept to sell merchandise and goods, because what it represented, it's like an emblem. Oh, I see that. That's space. That's where we're going. It's the future. That was the whole illusionary thing. And through the catalogs of daily living, buying candles, buying plate sets and things and clothings and hats, you would be always introduced slowly, gradually, of the images of space. But in school, none of it. In textbooks, none of it. It was only through the purchase of, and it was the upper class. Okay, so people with a lot of money would use these catalogs, and then once that kind of money trickled down into the apparent middle class, they were still exposed to this catalog stuff. So it's just quite interesting how they marketed the ball to sell their products. So it's always been a marketed tool to sell you something. And yeah, that's what I find. As far as institutional and being implemented, it didn't take off until Kennedy, the space race. It was really, and I'm talking like, if you go look at the books, the Mars and the spaceships, and then like it's fantastical when you go back through this journey in time. But to only realize this psychological operation has only been in effect for 60 years, like in the school systems, institutionally. And if you think about it,
do you think people enjoy fantasy though?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah,
People can't.
Right?
No, it was always to sell you something. It was all, and the thing is, they guised it as futuristic. It's the way of the future. It's where we're going. It wasn't about God. It was more materialistically driven. And so the concept of science grew from that. Through these catalogs, and then where we are where we are at. But prior to 70 years ago, we didn't think of it. They were still arguing. I mean, don't get me wrong. In the upper classes, they were, of course, figuring out Euclidean stuff and all this stuff. And you had Riemann in 1800s come up with elliptical geometry. Anyway, the guy who helped escape Euclidean prison. Right, let's say, and you had this birth of new mathematical coordinate systems that were, so you have to imagine all these upper class boys doing a gentleman's game. It has nothing to do with reality, but applying.
Yeah, but let's say upper class normies, right? Not. I know what you're talking about, round table kind of upper class folks, but there was a very strong standpoint. So after 2 world wars. And you come out with certain victors, and they happen to be the same, roughly, country to country.
It was just a banker's war. That's all it was.
Yeah, but here's my point.
Wars where they had to use the AE map because the globe kept sending them off in wrong directions and
when the
dodo saved the day.
The war
kind of
to end
missing
all
the real
wars,
point
right?
here.
Remember the war to end all wars. World War II.
Good morning, George.
Stop. Right.
Tag team time. George is in.
But
you guys are
I'm
missing history here.
Replying to FED real quick. Okay. Why that there was such a strong mental standpoint to believe government propaganda? It was not propaganda because, man, the government saved our asses twice, right? Through military and all the rhetoric bullshit, right? But that was the idea. Now, look, you can own a home and cars and freedom and all this shit. Look at this fantasy space, right? And they introduce it first through consumerism, like FED said, of course. And then
yeah, but it's the catalogs, bro. It's like the most ominous thing because you're looking at like Bible stuff. You're looking at like hand-stitched clothing, and then you flip to the space page.
Reader's Digest. Remember Reader's
painted
Digest?
Painted in cartoons, exactly how the Earth looks now in the 1800s. Yeah. You know what I mean? In the 1700s.
Cartoons and the advent of television.
Here's the thing. Nothing has changed from that cartoon reality to 2020, and that's what the fucking PSYOP's all about.
I think George will disagree with you.
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
how are they envisioning the Earth the way it is in their mind in the 1800s when they've never been to space, never seen anything? But somehow, just wait. It is what they've been saying the whole time in these cartoons.
Yeah,
like it's just
we got it right way back then.
Yeah, it's comical to see it, and then when you see how much obfuscation comes with the argument and how much like individually based, we all hung in a helicopter.
The only thing we haven't seen yet, FED. The only thing we haven't seen yet is the alien. So prepare yourself.
Oh, what a hybrid human? They've let a chimera live. Like, what do you think? So that what they do present you in reality is chimeras. You've heard of this?
Go on, FED. What do you know? Go on.
Yeah.
So the chimera is half pig, half human, right? So they've supposedly let this thing grow. Are we referring to this as the alien?
Well, no, I'm just saying. You're kind of hinting that might be the root of the.
Man, the bottom line is they've always been fucking with blood in the seed, so it has to come from the blood in the seed, or else it's not Antichrist.
You're a big man, Flatter Dad. I don't believe I've ever seen your face or your legs, for that matter.
Pig man, what does that mean, pig man?
Actually, hang on. There is this sort of supernatural presence attached to it. It's like one of these local myths or whatever. But Pigman, and it's certainly been captured a few times. What looks very strange, like this chimera that you talk about. So you can be sure anything you can imagine that they've done, right? Anything. But
so wait a second. Isn't there like references to chimeras and biblical references as well?
Don't we have Goatman? Yes. Don't we have Goatman?
So if we have previous references of,
wasn't Esau hairy like a goat?
I'm just saying, if we have previous references of chimeras because of the whatever corruption happened then versus whatever corruption is happening now, you got to admit they're trying to corrupt the same thing. And if they're presenting,
I believe in mermaids, or I believe all the stuff I thought was ridiculous. Honestly, leprechauns. I believe in all this fairies, small people, Sasquatch. Absolutely, man. We have no idea what reality entails, but regarding experiments like that, absolutely, man.
Those fairy circles are amazing. People just disappearing into fairy circles, and they come back, and it's been like, I think it's been hours for them and only minutes here, or minutes for them and hours here, one way or other. Time.
I want to flatter Dada's party.
Well, do you think? Do you think? Okay, so I don't fully buy the chimera story, right? But I think the attempt here, the illusion there is to place us in that state of mind for transhumanism. Okay, so I think that it's a want of theirs, but it's a manipulation towards the masses and thinking that they can do it. Okay. So
that goes back to Genesis 6, doesn't it? When they
it's just looking at the psychological, looking at the psychological. Yes, every present thought that you have comes from some introduction, right? Unless you're always introduced to it at some point and you bring it up, right? Do you guys believe that man can blend human DNA and pig DNA and grow this chimera?
Absolutely. Of course they can, man. Of course they can. Of course they can.
I'm
they
not
can.
Sure
so if they
can do it.
Okay, so if there's aliens,
how to do it might not be man,
right?
If there's aliens, then what would they do? What would be would they like be intergalactical? Would they have special lungs and blood? Like, are we going that far?
Interdimensional, not interdimensional or extra dimensional, not extraterrestrial. Like.
But when you say man can create a man and a pig or whatever, in my mind that's not an alien. Is it just nasty? Yeah. Is it nasty? Yes.
Well, it's alien to
That
human.
big in space.
It's alien to human.
We're missing from the
Oh my
late
god, I haven't heard
1800s.
that for years.
We're all a bunch of
Oh
Muppets.
my god.
Wouldn't it be rather be
Like the fucking Muppets.
But what we're missing, FED,
wouldn't
real
it
quick,
be?
just
Listen
to
though,
get back
wouldn't
on
it be?
track. Just
Wouldn't
to
it
get back
be
on track.
more?
What we're
Wouldn't it be more twisted?
is from
Hold
the
on.
late 1800s
This
up
is
into
awesome.
about.
Aaron versus FED. Go.
Gee whiz, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, he's had some time. I barely chime in until later in the show. But from the late 1800s up until about 1950s or so, the invention. Well, you had the catalogs, the comic books, whatever, just literature that people read with all this fantasy in it. Right, consumers got this information. That still happens today. So right now, the government doesn't push space on me. The government itself does not do that.
Is
Tesla
that
does.
Sione 111 speaking?
Tesla
Sione.
Tesla does. I have to go buy a Tesla car because there's one in fucking space, right? Right, and so
Starman is inside in it, right? Starling from
so
SpaceX.
exactly. So it's still the corporate body. You know, the government plays it so good, right? They stay just one step behind the wall, so that we don't look directly at them. But FED's right. Subliminally, movies, every single movie, kids shows, gee whiz, aliens showing up, you know, flying to space and space rocket and all this crap. So it's just more powerful today because.
But hang
So
on.
if you hold
truth.
at this point, when people see this kind of stuff, they have to hold two different belief systems in reality. One belief system is the physical reality that represents their existence, and then the one is the mental image of what their existence is all about, and they don't match each other. So, do you think?
FED, this is the genius. Let me explain. So Owen Benjamin explained this. He said what they've done with the heliocentric model, or whatever it is created this perfect mental prison for us. In that,
exactly,
it creates infinite insignificance for the individual, but it also at the same time provides infinite potential and opportunity as to what's out there. So it makes you feel like you're worthless, but hey, we'll sell you the dream. Like you said, space is the future. We can go there. We can do it. So it's like this self-perpetuating psychological torment, but happiness all at the same time.
Effie Evangelist,
Yeah,
only by staring into the
absolutely.
Only by staring into the pit of nothingness can we come to appreciate the embrace of everything. That I was going to say all right. So I think it's that contrast as well. And look, when it comes to who we actually are, does anyone here believe the history that's been presented to us? I should say not, right? So therefore, there's a real story attached to us. And in a big way, flat Earth Dad, are we not transhuman? Does the spirit not live on? Whatever form we're taking here is temporary, right?
The concept is real because we all believe it to be. It's an axiom within our existence. I mean, most people cling to it for stability. The whole point is we never know. The faith comes in to that realization of how much faith you have as an individual. People these days don't have very much faith. So whatever the body and spirit is to that individual can only be, I guess, near death. Everybody, if you ever read near death, when people the things when people regret near death or on their deathbed, it's quite shocking because it's really simple, and everything gets complex.
It can be very sad, can't it?
Well, it's just simple of what your regrets are, and it's the things that you should always do first, but you always do last. And that's the thing about life, is if you're not willing to do the last things first, then you're kind of left in the shadows. And that's where people are right now, is they don't want to do the last thing first. They want to, this entitlement that is, I don't know, this materialistic entitlement has been bounced off them unintentionally because of the greed they see around them. So they see so much greed, they feel entitled to it because it's like, well, he can have that. Why can't I have that? To be in that state of existence isn't good. And that's what's brought about these psychological operations, is because you have to control each level of that demographic.
FED, if I could offer just one small criticism. You say so much that I would love to reply to Pete or Paige or Travis or Rock, all the folks on here. that if you instead of making a statement like they're entitled to so much, you could ask a question like, I think they're entitled to so much, and here's my example. What do y'all think? Kind of. So it's not monologue-ish, is all I'm saying.
Sure,
Passione 111.
Sure. So
Italian.
I just rant to get the point across, even though there's several points in the long-winded, pedantic explanation of my ideas. So I understand. Bear with me. I lost my point now. I'm just saying that
entitlement.
Let me ask Flat Earth Data a question. So we've been given the blue marble, right? And you have children as well. If one of your children come up and said, "Dad, can you draw me a picture as a replacement for what you tell me isn't the case?" and I believe you, I'm not asking you to do that, but do you have some sort of a picture in your mind? And in a way, that sort of ties in to what I think about in terms of aliens. If we're in one particular bubble, as waters beyond, there could be an infinite number of bubbles out there with infinite number of, in inverted commas, life forms. I think life is not as we know it. But do you know what I mean? Have you any sort of formulated picture of Earth, your home, and a greater backdrop?
So I'm trying to model it in Blender, and I'm sure you've already seen the concept of a personal dome.
Yeah.
I believe in that existence in Blender. I think I can represent, maybe, hopefully, that kind of concept at a deep. I can pull out and I can see the coordinates of the world, if you will. But that's again just a quantification of what we observe. These lines don't exist. It's just how we see the cylindrical stars, right? So,
well, I'm talking more about a complete picture. You know what I mean?
Oh, did George leave?
Well, I think I can represent Well, I think I can represent our perspective in this model in a sense that I can show how it would happen if you were taught how to see. The difference is a lot of people are taught that they're seeing curve when they look at the horizon. They actually think that distance away things are.
They don't teach us how to see properly. Like
no,
they've switched our vision with the ground. We see in that circular conish vision on a flat ground, but they've told us we see straight on a curved ground.
Well, how powerful is this page? Nobody told me to see curve, but I've been snowmobiling up in the Cascade Mountains, and we all get up there and we look out and you can see Seattle, and I remember saying, "Wow, look, you can see the curve of the Earth." I remember saying that.
Oh, wow.
Many years ago, but nobody taught me to say that, right? They just, like FED saying, it was just programmed into my mind.
They just don't teach us the tools that if we had those tools, we would be able to understand what we're looking at. So by not giving us certain information, we just put all the other pieces together, without certain bits.
Assume curve. It's like 2.5 chapters of your world history book, right? 2.5 chapters. Okay, went to the moon, came back down. Look at the picture. There you go. Boom, you're good. Go out snowmobiling. Look out into the horizon. You see curve. Now, nobody told me that. My teacher didn't say you'll see it. It's that mental.
Yeah, in your
construct.
head. Yeah,
exactly. Yep.
It's a regimental school system for you, and like those youngsters who sort of almost react violently against you Flat Earth Data when you show them sort of persuasive arguments against the screen waller. It's the same here. You don't quite react violently, but one or two of them always come up and say when I'm passing, the Earth is not the Earth is round, the Earth is not flat. And of course, all you have to leave them with is a thought. And each of them know that I'm well capable of defending my position. So I can understand their anger because, when we're in school, you like to get applause, like for whatever you do, right? You like to think that you know something now.
Yeah, you want to be told you're correct.
Right, and you'll defend it. You get that gold star, right? Yeah,
exactly. Gold star for you.
Yeah. So, but again, life has to be about something, and ultimately it's about what you decide.
You shouldn't be so serious.
Why is it a gold star, by the way? Why not like a gold square?
Well, I say Aristarchus, right?
Exactly. Why not just a square or a triangle? Why a star?
I used to get an elephant stamp. What's that mean?
You have a big ass.
Maybe I do.
No more lunch for you.
Aristarchus, yeah, what the most encoded word in the English language, and I was just thinking about starman, right? STAR man. A tar is an able-bodied seaman, right? And we all came to be here. Our material universe began when the semen met the egg. I say S-tar is S is the letter of division. Right, so it's half of the 8. So S-tar is the divided semen, and that's what I say. The semen and the egg are they're inversions of one another, and it's when the two come back together that you have sort of the miracle of life, and then ultimately coming back to us being in a sort of divided state, reflecting the earth and its divided nature externally.
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
But hang on, it's not a
Wait
dizzy.
till I
It's
get
not.
going.
Yeah, but it's not. But yeah, it's not even. It's like putting the pieces together, right, Travis? Where I say the words, everything is given to us as a sort of series of clues, and when we look at Earth, heart,
Pete,
and
Pete, can I
ether,
ask you one question before you go on?
right?
Can you do me a favor? Sorry to interrupt. Can you do me? You do suggest this quite frequently, which I appreciate.
Do you?
You hold on. You
That's
always
what I
talk
just
about
thought.
these.
You want him
You
to
always
do
talk about
you?
these.
One of your party boys now.
You always talk about these clues, right? You always talk about these clues. Can you do something like called the Pete's Clues? I'd love to break down if you had like 10, 20, 30 clues or something, just call them the Pete's Clues. I'd love to see what they are.
And I could write about 5 books on all of this if I
No, keep it simple. Just keep it simple, man. Just like top 10.
There's an interesting thing when you were saying that a minute ago, Pete, that struck me is talking about the word star and tar and S's, the divided 8 and all of that. It fascinates me, but then it dawned on me, okay, so that works in English, but how does it work with French, German, and all the other languages? Like,
right, each language, right. Look, I've often got this sort of objection. Now,
English is the corrupt language, right, Pete?
By way of answering, I would say, right. Would you agree that it's sort of pretty much Masonic lodges in every country, every town throughout the world?
Yes.
Their language is pictorial, right, or symbolic. Ultimately, this is what letters are. They're means of translating a core truth, right? And I say each and every language has its own codes ingrained because the same story applies to all of us. It's the same story has been told, but it translates differently into the different languages that are used. But ultimately, all you have to worry about is your own language, English language. And well, how far you want to take that, that's up to yourself. I say this is a magical world. This is a metaphysical reality, and numbers and letters are the ultimate symbol.
so
And when you
if
look
that
at the letter
translates
H,
through into all the other languages, and these same codes are hidden in all the other languages, you'd have to concede
there
that's
must be,
some kind of supernatural genius behind that.
Not really.
I can.
If you go ahead, Pete.
I was just going to say I can direct you to some videos that talk about epistemology, and he goes through like half a dozen different languages and shows you, where the words are the same, even though they're spelt a little bit differently or whatever.
Yeah, the roots, the stems.
He's a good one. Yeah.
The etymology of how English came to be, right? But you traveled back through the roots of it, and the definition we use today is more of a capture language versus what they were using, Latin.
Did you see the guy that wants to get rid of the English language altogether and turn us into like he's got a whole new English language for us for the future?
But here's the problem, though.
English will be the one world.
No. It's like a syntax way of talking. We're using pronouns and like it's removing anything offensive in the English language.
How come?
And he's reduced it.
How come?
He's reduced it.
How come in every English language country, when you go to court or you deal with the legal system, you deal with the government, they speak Latin, but we speak English, right? Why is that?
Well, check out the Chicago Manual of Styles, and it will explain to you what English actually is, what capital letters, when you write in all capitals, what that is. That's not actually English.
That's right.
even I think
it's a slave
capital
language.
letter at the start of a word with small letters after it is not actually English. It's very
Page the Chicago
convoluted. Manual of Styles, yeah.
Okay.
And then Black's Law Dictionary, that will give you the meaning of words like when they call you a person or a citizen or something like that. Black's Law Dictionary will give you the proper meanings for all those words.
There are thousands
So
of
basically,
titles for
they're
us,
sending us
yeah.
fines and shit that aren't even in the English language. You have, anything that comes in an envelope with that little see-through plastic screen on it with your name in all capitals.
Tax. What the fuck is an ad valorem tax? I have no idea.
Well, those letters, you don't even have to open them. They're not addressed to you. They're not even in English if they're in all capitals. So you are well within your right to say, I don't know who this is. I don't know what it is. I'm not opening it.
I know letterbox for years, Paige.
I don't.
And you have to remember, you can make it clear when you go into court, you're going into their territory in a sense, and you don't know who you are, and you're speaking their language. But of course, if you knew yourself, right, you are the authority.
Then you can take authority. You can literally take the authority from the judge and make the judge leave.
But here's the issue, Paige.
Your words, you can make it clear that your words are to be understood according to general understanding, right? Because they are all very specific.
Before I was called into their court, I voluntarily went to one of their offices and signed up for some fucking title. Homeowner, whatever it is, business owner, whatever, driver, doesn't matter. I voluntarily did that without, like you guys are saying, without knowing that they're going to flip the script, right? So all these punishments.
Yeah, so you flip the script on them and say, well, that person who signed up, that's the straw man person, it's not me.
So if my word is my bond and I walked voluntarily in there and I signed my name to paper, one of the most sacred things you could ever do is put your blood on paper to someone else.
But it's a fraud. They've committed a trespass on you, a fraud on you. So even if you have signed something, it's not valid.
Nobody forced me to do that.
I didn't say they did. I'm
Fraud
saying
was
it's
not
not valid because it's a fraud and a trespass from the minute you were born. No, it's not. It's actually damn easy to prove they've trespassed. Damn easy. They took, after you were born, they made a birth certificate.
No, they didn't. My mother and father voluntarily
don't interrupt me. There are two
I've studied this a lot longer than you. I get where you're coming from, but you need to go step by step.
Can I finish, please?
Okay. Right, so I haven't heard this, so I'm really interested.
Not only is there the birth certificate that your parents do, there is a registration that the law does behind your back. You don't even know about it. And they do it on bond paper and create a company and trade you on the stock market using this it will be a different date to your actual birth date.
I've done commercial redemption. I've done it. And it does not work because there's no basis for it, right? Because it's all voluntary.
No, what you need to understand...
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong or the idea is bad.
What you need to understand is that because it was a fraud and a trespass against you when you were born, everything after that minute is null and void. Even if you have signed something or you have got a driver's license or you have got a home loan or whatever,
if I charge you
that is all null and void because it's all after a trespass.
If I have a business like Walmart and you voluntarily walk in there and I charge you way too much for a product and you walk out and realize, oh my God, they charged me too much.
It's a totally different thing.
No,
that's a totally different thing. We are talking about our actual lives, not just a product that you buy.
I get it.
So it's
let's
way
all
different.
Stop walking into their office. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, that's why I said if you get a piece of mail with that little see-through thing on it, just don't open it. Don't consent to them. Don't contract with them.
They sent it to you
They
for a reason.
cannot
You
force you.
contracted first. You were the first
No,
contractor.
you didn't. They
Yes.
they registered you and
No.
made a
Based
trespass against
upon-
you after you were born.
I get it. Yes.
Paige,
there's
can I ask you a
That
registered
was
specific
not
question?
consensual. You are a couple of days old, for fuck's sake. How is
get
that
it.
consensual?
Paige,
I was smoking joints after a couple of days.
There's a detailed system involved to make sure that every single human energy out there is under the thumb of a system. I get it.
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
saying it's not, but what I'm saying is you need to be encouraging people to know they have the power to stop this instead of telling
You
them
cannot.
that they're
Pete
doing
said
all
it.
this
You cannot go
consensually
into
when
their
they're
court.
not.
You cannot go into their court and tell them what to do. You can't do it because
Oh,
I
yes,
agreed
you can.
previously.
Oh,
Aaron.
yes, you can.
Bloody can.
Listen.
Absolutely.
I agree.
You are the highest
Paige, I wanna
authority
ask you
in that
something.
court.
Then why did you
Paige is
subject
right.
yourself?
Once a
Why did
fraud
you
is
subject
revealed, all
yourself to their
contracts become null
benefits?
and void.
If you're
Simple
so
as that.
high and mighty, why did you subject yourself to their benefits and privileges, like I did, like my mom did, like everyone on this panel did? Why did we do that?
Fraud
Because
is
I
on
was
their
knowing
behalf,
better,
man.
and
The
now that
people
I
were
know
stolen
better,
from,
I'm
Aaron.
going to change. Like,
Come
my
on,
God,
Paige.
just because they fooled me before, what that means I have to keep being fooled? No, fuck you. No, I'm
So
going
my
to tell
solution,
them no.
my solution is to back away slowly. Don't walk into their arena and start a fight. Back away
Aaron,
slowly.
does everyone know that you're a
encourage
flat
people
earther,
to do.
Aaron?
But what
Is your
I'm
policy with
saying is,
flat
if
earth
they
to keep it quiet?
wanted to fight in their system, you are still a higher authority than any of them, even inside their system.
No, not inside that.
Yes,
No.
we made the company. The creation cannot be greater than the
Right.
creator.
You mean a
And
taxpayer? A taxpayer built that.
you are the beneficiary of the
We
trust that
are
is the
the
legal
living
name.
man or woman. The
They have you down as the
company, the
trustee.
law, the courts are our creation.
A living
The creation cannot rule the creator.
A living man or woman is self-sustaining, self-governing, living.
Yes, and that's what they've taken away from us. Told us we can't be.
Living with their means, without the help of the system that wants to find them and take them to court. Okay.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%.
That's how it used to be. How?
Yes.
The system,
and that's how common law will make it go back that way.
Sure, the system does exist. Well, the administrative system, the common law system it's still there. I agree with you. Okay, but you cannot go into.
It never
one
went
system.
away. It's common law's always been.
Yeah, but you can't go into one system with the rules and the rights of another system and say you have to meet. It's like two countries fighting. Like, I can't go to China and say you have to be Republican,
see, that's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong, because you can set up a common law court, take someone to court, right? Have a judgment made against them. Then you can use the other law system to facilitate the recuperation of whatever losses, fines or whatever. You can have debt collectors go after them.
Most charges
whatever,
against
put a
us,
lien on their house, all that kind of thing. So yes, the laws they use are still there. We can still use their laws. We can have
most
both.
charges against us, Paige. Most charges against us. At the very top, it says the province of whatever, the state of whatever, this fictional character with me in all capital letters, Aaron Moorfeld, right? Okay, so now this state's coming after me, and you can't fight that. I cannot just turn around and say, well, take my name and take it out of caps. They're like, no, you're the one that fucking came. You're the one that came in here and gave us your name. You're the one that did that, Aaron.
Yeah, you can't do that.
They gave you that name when they registered you just after birth. For fuck's sake, you never picked that all capitals name. They did.
Okay,
it's a
so let's go.
It's a trespass.
Let's go
This land is our dominion, Aaron. Do you agree with that? Do you agree that our natural inheritance?
I don't understand why you're arguing with me about this. I mean, my God.
Absolutely, Pete. I do agree.
That's all.
That's our dominion. Now, however, there are doors waiting for us to walk through, right? And we've all walked through them. Okay. We did not know we're entering
The
into this different
trespass
world.
happened before
You all the
that.
children
So
walk through the same
you
doors
walking
again.
through
Okay.
that door is now null and
I
void.
get it. I
Because
get
the trespass
it.
happened before that.
Okay, so then blame your parents. Don't blame the system.
Worry about that. Don't worry about the blame.
No, I'm going to blame the person who registered me and put me on the stock exchange. They're
That's your
two
parents.
different things.
Without
no,
your parents' signature,
Was that when you
Oh
were
my
young, growing up in
God.
Iran? Paige?
Relax. Without your parents'
It's
signature, they
not-
couldn't do that. They
It's
could not
not
do it
the
without
paperwork your
mom and dad.
parents filled
In fact, your
out.
dad
It's
actually-
the paperwork they fill out behind the scenes after your parents hand that paperwork in. They then create another document.
Sure.
Do you not
Why
understand?
not?
That's the trespass.
Why do you need the first paper? Why did your
my
mom
God.
Why did your mom
That's
hand
not the
doctor
fucking
that?
point, is it?
Yes, it is.
No.
Okay, tell me when birth certificates started. Go ahead.
What does it matter? We can have birth
Because
certificates
it was
without the
with the
trespass
rise of the
afterwards.
system.
It was around 1930s, wasn't it, or something like that? A bit earlier?
Roughly there, yeah, roughly 20s,
It's
30s.
the second lot of paperwork that sets up the fucking straw man.
I get it,
Don't you
Paige.
get
now,
that?
Now, before birth certificates,
So it's
where
not
were
your parents' fault either.
Before birth certificates, where were births recorded? Where were they recorded?
Who cares? They were recorded in the
They were
common law.
They recorded in the community Bible. That's where. Okay.
Yeah. So now they create
and that
a
was not
second lot
passed
of
on to
paperwork.
nobody, except maybe the Vatican. The Vatican might have already had a hand on this, but it was. So we did not give it to an administrative system. Now, Paige, just relax. I'm
right?
relaxed. Everyone's relaxed. Yeah,
But you're
everyone's
not
relaxed.
understanding what I'm
Birthing
saying.
process.
That
Yes.
birth certificate, what your the
it's
things,
an
the
offer.
paperwork your parents fill out
It's
is
an offer.
the first step.
It's an offer.
Then
It's an
somebody, see, you talk through me and you don't listen to what I'm saying.
It's an offer.
The next step is in private, behind closed doors, they register you without your parents' knowledge, without your parents' consent, and without your consent.
Okay. Now, which people register?
That is the trespass.
Are these government folks that maybe my parents
Yes,
voted
the
for?
registrar.
Yeah, that my parents voted for, or my grandparents voted for to put in office.
Did
into
they
these
ever
places
tell you they were going to do that?
Okay, so this isn't my line of research at all. I've never, ever looked into this. So, tell me, who do you think's right? Is Paige right? Or is Aaron right? Or is none of them right? Please let me know in the chat.
The law.
If I offer them $1,000, they're going to take it and then cash it and turn it into an asset behind my back, right? It's quite
face
similar.
behind my back.
Yeah, so let's all just agree.
I just do not get why you argue with me over this subject. You try to equivocate your parents signing a birth certificate with you having consent to what they're doing to you. No.
It's like you've got skin in this game somehow, Aaron. You take this position every time, mate.
Yeah, doesn't he? Drives me nuts.
I have endorsed the back of my birth certificate page with all the common wording of common law language, and I've sent it to the government here in the United States. Okay?
Dude,
I've done the whole
wrong,
redemption process.
Wrong paperwork. You need the registration bit, not your fucking birth certificate
I had
bit.
it.
That's what I'm saying. There are
I
two
got
different...
it from the registration of Nebraska page. You think I don't know what you're talking about?
Hang on, what was the upshot then?
Dude,
I know what you're talking
the
about.
second lot of paperwork that they create
you think I don't know
company
what
thing
you're
on
talking about?
goes
That's
to
all.
like the Vatican or somewhere. It's not.
No, it's to the United States government. I told them that I am a free sovereign.
That's your birth certificate records. Fuck me.
Yes. I said that name does exist in your registry as only a corporation. I am not the corporate. I did the whole paperwork. It's like 600 pages. It cost me like $1,500, right? And
why would you do that? All you have to do
because like Paige, like Pete said, you cannot go into their court and use just vocal language or even written language. They're not reading our language. They don't see it at all. They cannot.
I never said that.
Well, you
said
asked
you
me why
can.
when I walk into their
You can
court
dictate
if
your
we're
own
speaking different
position and
language.
true knowledge.
Sorry, Pete. I said, okay, you asked me why do I walk into their court, right?
No, I didn't ask you that, but I'm asking you, what's the upshot of your deregistration process there? How is your life and your association
even
and
have to
relation with
go
the government
through all
changed?
that.
It's not about how the life lives. It's more about a mental state. You learn, and now we know how the
Face,
system
you
works.
could have just done that in your own head and saved all that time and money.
So I can stop or minimize my contact with the state, this fictional entity. That's what it gave me.
Dude, your actions are the
You
only
don't
thing
fight
that's
it.
going to
You
stop
cannot
that.
fight it. You cannot fight the state.
You
can't do it.
can.
No, you can't.
You
Because
fight
the
it in
state
your
is
own
your
little way,
neighbor.
Aaron. You after
state-
fighting it, you're after doing what lots of other people didn't do.
The state
Yeah, I
is
think
your
it's very
neighbor.
dangerous for you to tell people that they are consenting to this by walking through their doors and all this kind of stuff. It's a very dangerous thing to be telling people that they can't fight it. Because damn straight, yes,
you can't
they
fight
can.
It. So what I'm saying is just don't engage it, right? Is that
but you engaged it by filling out all that paperwork and paying the money. How silly was that?
Rob Keane, you got a hot mic, mate.
So yeah, what I'm saying is minimize your engagement with the state. You can do it. Just minimize it, just step by step. But you can't do it. You
shouldn't even
can't
be
do
doing
it with
what
the
you
fist.
did.
You can't do it with the fist to the face because they'll come after you. They will.
I never said that. I'm saying use their language in their. If you have enough confidence in your knowledge of how their laws work, then yes, you absolutely can fight them in their own courts. Absolutely.
Okay, so
if you
so
don't
in their
want
language,
to, if you're not confident about doing that, then you just do not contract with them. You ignore everything they send you.
In their language, you're a taxpayer, right? So you didn't pay your tax. But in their language, you're a taxpayer. They don't call you man or woman, right? They call you taxpayer from this address, right?
That's why you have to go in there and tell them you are a man, or take the authority back. You don't go in there and pretend to be the person they say you are. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you go in there.
You're going in there as the person you say you are, not them.
Yes,
you said
not
it
who
already.
they say you are. Yeah. So you take back the authority by being the living man or woman, not the corporate entity.
Says, the letter to bring you into court says, "Dear taxpayer." It doesn't say "Dear Paige, Miss Woman." It does not say that. It says, "Dear taxpayer, you are summoned to appear to our court."
That's why you don't have to go if you don't want to, because it's not to you.
This is where I'm saying, test those waters carefully. Okay.
Yeah, that's all I said too. If you're confident, you can fight them within their own system, but you don't have to. You can just turn your back on them.
No.
How does that work, though, Paige? Like, okay, so I'm a homeowner. I've got a home loan. I own vehicles. I run 2 businesses. I pay taxes. Blah 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 blah.
Well,
so if I decide to disengage from this tomorrow,
your mortgage
this is what I'm getting to, Paige. Like
overseas. Yeah, you need to. I'll send you some links. Knowyourrights.com. Mike Holt. There's a guy who the channel's called Liability Mate. A friend of Mike Holt's is doing a huge lawsuit or thing against the banks here in Australia because they have sold everyone's mortgages overseas and committed, this huge.
It's part of the deal when you get a mortgage.
Fraud. No. Oh my God.
It is, Paige. It is.
No.
We did not read through.
Can I speak to FE
Aaron,
without
let me talk
being
to Paige.
over-talked?
We'll only take one minute, guys. Here we go.
So, yeah, this guy's looking for more people with outstanding mortgages at the moment because in the next couple of months, the banks are going to start saying, you have to start paying your mortgages back. The couple of months grace that people have gotten is over. And this guy's saying, lots of people are going to start losing their homes. And if the bank tries to take foreclose on you or whatever, it's unlawful. And he has started a suit with all these people with their mortgages. One guy, I think he got multi-million-dollar settlement for one farming family who the bank was trying to foreclose on their home, and he proved in their courts that the bank had defrauded them, sold their mortgage, and they ended up having to pay the farming family. They got to keep their house and they got to pay out. So, you know, there are people who are fighting for us within the system.
What I'm curious about is it...
Can I interject with something here? Is when you... I think we have a good system. We have the wrong people in power. Okay,
yes.
We've created a place for everybody to have abundant food, abundant medicine, abundant wealth, but we have evil people in power. So I think that the system, we shouldn't be afraid of the system per se, but we should be trying to understand the law to go after the people. Because I understand common law is this. I was told this by a lawyer here in Canada, that anybody enforcing any kind of restrictions against my civil liberties, I can sue in a court of law. Okay?
Yes.
So if I am a sovereign Canadian citizen,
I hate to jump in, but when you said civil liberties in the
me.
same sentence as common law, you're being misled. Okay,
so
civil
anyway,
liberties are granted by government. Civil liberties are granted by government. Okay,
so there's civil
men and women have freedom, not liberty.
Yes.
Human rights.
That's right. So when you're violating these violations, these civil violations, you can take people to court individually. So if I walk, for instance, this is what I was told by a lawyer in Walmart. If I walk into Walmart and I can't buy food because the employees are forcing me to wear a mask because there's no rules, no laws,
to court. Yes.
I can. This is what I can do here in Canada.
We've got lawsuits starting against our prime ministers and stuff, against our government.
Yeah, same here. So
There's
there's a couple. There's one Canadian in particular. He's an ex-firefighter. He's actually in court right now, suing Justin Trudeau personally. The first time in Canadian history.
We got a judgment against a priest for pedophilia, and he now can't leave the Vatican or wherever he's holed up because he'll get the sheriff will come and arrest him if he ever, leaves. So he's basically under house arrest for the rest of his life.
Just be careful. The system is all around you, and we just, as long as we can see it and we know where it's at, just be careful.
Wrong, though. We need to come together with common law and start putting these people in positions in the city hall out. We start at city hall, then we go to our premiers.
Make them take responsibility for what they've done.
We remove them because we have a great setup here for people. Education can be changed. It can be bettered.
Healthcare.
Everything can be bettered if we figure out a way intellectually with civil disobedience, following common law to get these people out. And I think it's possible. This is what maybe,
That's why I don't like Faith saying we can't fight them or you shouldn't, you've consented to this.
You just can't.
You got to raise kids. You got to raise the next. You got to raise the next generation up in it.
I'm not saying that I don't try to fight them, right? Or I will still to this day fight them or go into their court but minimalist, right? I'm not trying to hang the judge.
But you're just floating. Discourage somebody.
There's nothing wrong with being a tourist. Everybody's a tourist on this planet right now. That's the problem. They're trying to wake you up from being a tourist.
Okay. Do you understand? So why should we elect more positions to
It's not about electing more positions. It's about removing the people out of these positions. It's not re-electing, it's removing, first of all.
The best way to remove them is to stop paying them, right?
Wow, I understand, but you have to use the law to do it.
Keep the system going. We don't want to destroy our way of life as we do this. We just want to stop the injustices that are happening.
But the system was set up to screw us.
Yeah.
No, it was.
Change that bit.
No, it was. This whole maritime garbage was set up to screw us. Now, what we're saying is, okay, if we get rid of the nasty people at the top and replace them, then that will be fixed. The problem is, PJ, the heart of the man is evil. That's what
we need to remove these
positions. Our
positions.
Current system is not good.
No, I know. We need to remove these positions of power. So if there is a branch within the judiciary, whatever 3 levels of branch that we're starting at, we're going to start at the one that's at the municipal branch, which is the local city hall base, where we remove the people that are locally infecting.
Don't cut off a branch. Take out the root, dude. Stop paying them.
Yeah, but you can't. You don't have enough money to go to the top right away, bro.
Okay.
That's the root. So the bottom line is
What do you
you
mean?
can do locally. So I've seen communities locally here in BC. There's Parksville, BC, that passed a bylaw that anybody pushing forward COVID restrictions will receive a fine or jail time. They're using common law to do it. They came together go look it up. Parksville,
Who does
British
that apply
Columbia.
to? Who does that apply to?
So just go look it up. You'll find all the details of what they've done for
No,
common law.
just right off the-
So
does
it
apply
is
to-
possible locally at a local level to produce
Hold on.
common
does it apply
law.
to residents?
Let me finish.
Who does
Let me
that law
finish.
apply to?
The
Residents?
whole
Well, go and look at
Parksville
it,
community.
Face.
The whole Parksville community, dude. The whole little town of Parksville. Go look it up. The point is you can
Okay,
come
so
together
Parksville residents. The law only applies to Parksville
to the town of Parksville.
Parksville residents. That's right.
So,
okay.
yeah.
Now,
To the
anyone
people
that
who agree
claims
to it, yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
anyone that
So,
claims
it's
or
possible-
has claimed that they are a resident is subject to that law. Now, how
Yeah.
many people in Parksville have actually claimed that they're a resident there?
So the
Probably all
point
of them,
is,
right?
you can
On
detract.
paper.
Face, stop.
You can detract from the achievement. Go ahead. That's your conversation on your own. I'm not conversing with you that. I'm conversing on telling people that you can do these things. You want to say no and you want to be negative, go ahead and talk to somebody else about that.
Yeah.
Point is, you can come together in small groups under common law and it has weight. Okay? It has weight in the legal system. In the courthouse, it has weight, or else it wouldn't be called common law.
It's not called weight; it's called standing. And two different types of law: common law, civil law, criminal law, whatever, administrative law, corporate law, all this stuff. You have to have a certain standing in order to engage that entity itself. Okay, so common law has no standing in civil disputes, or administrative disputes.
For human rights violations,
no
it does.
standing. You have
For
no
human
standing.
rights violation, it does. Absolutely. You have a right to food. You have a
No,
right to
don't.
shelter.
You might have to go to a Supreme Court to do that, to get retribution for that.
I'm not looking for any I'm not looking
Your
for any
local
monetary
court.
compensation. Here's something that you don't understand. It's not for monetary compensation. I want
It's
them
to change the-
removed.
yeah, change
I
the
want
law.
them to
Exactly.
be removed from office,
Getcha.
practicing unethical laws. And I can prove that these are unethical laws. Masks are unethical laws. Okay.
You cannot use water and
I can
oil
prove,
don't mix, right?
I can prove that social distancing is an unethical law. I can
Water
prove
and oil don't mix, right?
I can prove
So
these
you cannot
things.
mix civil law with common law. You cannot mix that. So you cannot come in as a common lawer into a civil court. You just can't do it.
Well, whatever the case is, you can come together under these civil liberties and understand common law and what your rights are, what your rights are of the minerals under your feet. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You do have rights to the minerals because you're born in that country. You have rights to the.
No,
I'm in Canada,
no,
so
you
I have
don't.
rights.
No, you don't.
I'm in Canada.
Citizens have no rights to.
So in Canada,
pretty much
I have
anything,
rights.
right?
But Canada is different, dude. Canada is a different entity when it comes to decisions. What the Queen gave us all. We have rights to the minerals under our feet. So
no. The people do. It says the people, but not citizens, right?
Sorry, the citizens are representation of the.
No, look up their definition of citizen.
But citizen is a contract.
Okay, well, we've been going for 3 hours and it's turned into not a flat earth thing for the past 45 minutes or so. We've been talking about birth certificates and alike, and rights and laws. So I'm going to let these guys carry on, but I am going to round up now because we've been going now for 3 hours and 15 minutes. So that's enough. That's enough for a show. I don't want to bore people with 4 or 5 hour shows anymore. 3 hours is digestible just about. So with that, I will be back tomorrow doing another show. So if you enjoyed it, leave a thumbs up, like the show. You know, it always helps if you give a thumbs up. If you dislike it, okay, well, you've got a right to dislike it too. You know, I mean, what can I say? These videos get lots of dislikes as well. Anyway, do what you must, and hope everyone has a good evening, and I'll see you all in the next one.